Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. People at Marvel, join the group chat. Chapter 71. Oh, cute little girl, are these all your tricks? Black Magician Agatha responded to Wanda's attack with ease, with a smile belonging to the winner on her face. Judging from these rounds of confrontation, the little girl in front of her is undoubtedly a newbie in the magician world. Although I have some experience, but not much. You can't even see the magic ceiling circle you set up. Instead, he was eager to confront himself with secret methods. Reckless, irritable, unshamming, and ignorant of flexibility. A typical little Aries. It's such a pity that this power belongs to you, why not leave it to me? Agatha stared at Wanda, who was wrapped in scarlet magic, and the greed in her eyes had almost taken shape. Others can't recognize her. Can't she recognize her with the hand of darkness? Origin magic power. Chaos force. One of the three oldest forces in the universe. As long as I can get this power, he will become the most powerful magician in the world, even replacing the Sorcerer Supreme. Old witch, are you done talking nonsense? Wanda gritted her teeth, gasped, and fired several balls of magic in succession, and the scarlet light illuminated the entire space. That's it. Facing Wanda's attack, Agatha accepted it all, but there were too many and the energy was too strong, so it was inevitable that she would selectively miss one or two. The magic ceiling array has been operating for a long time. It is not difficult to see from Wanda's declining state. Her victory was within reach. I have to say that chaos force is powerful. If it were other magicians, they would have been reduced to lambs to be slaughtered long ago under the influence of the magic ceiling array. But Wanda was able to hold up the magic ceiling formation and fight with her for so long. Every time she swallowed the opponent's power, Agatha could feel her magic power growing. It's been a long, long time since I've swallowed it so happily. Seeing the smile on Agatha's face, Wanda felt calm and calm. On the surface, he still looks like an irritated child, constantly shaking the magic power in his hand, looking very angry. Unknowingly, in the dim space, bits of red light spread and became brighter. After using the power of chaos to completely rewrite the origin of the surrounding runes, Wanda stopped her attack. Does my magic taste good? Wanda raised her right hand slightly, a ball of red light bloomed again, and a smile slowly appeared on her face. Give me all your strength, sweet little girl. Agatha opened her hands with enjoyment on her face. This power is too wasted on you. I can make a promise. Poor creature blinded by greed. Looking at the other party's appearance, Wanda understood that Agatha didn't seem to understand her current situation. He didn't bother to listen to her long speech, and just shook his head in boredom. Although your magic power is huge, its core is mottled and messy and of poor quality. The purity of power between you and me is not at the same level at all. So, after you swallow a small part of my magical power, you will obviously feel the increase in power. And because your strength attribute is contaminated with part of my aura, you won't react to any changes around you. Therefore, you didn't realize that I had taken away control of your magic ceiling array, and you didn't realize that your magic power had been weakened all the time. It's a mess. Is this the so-called experienced black magician who has lived for hundreds of years? It doesn't seem to be that good either. Fortunately, she cautiously tested it for a while. Did Mr. Moyu overestimate this old witch? Agatha, immersed in the joy of victory, suddenly woke up. Looking around, the fog shrouding the surroundings gradually dissipated. The scarlet color that replaced the dim light illuminated her pale cheeks. No, that's impossible. He looked down at his hands, which were completely soaked in pitch black, and a sense of fear emerged in his heart. The connection with the magic ceiling array has been severed, and the ownership of the magic array has been completely transferred. At the moment, the feeling of fullness of strength has turned into an unprecedented feeling of weakness. The powers that were swallowed by her echoed with the magic ceiling array from the outside world, completely blocking her original magical power in an instant. Failed? No, she hasn't failed yet. In desperation, Agatha took out a roll of parchment from her arms, quickly cut open her palm with her nails, and stamped her own bloody handprint. The sheepskin scroll in his hand spontaneously ignited without fire and turned into flying ashes. However, what was expected did not happen. The parchment scroll was completely ineffective, and the last hope was shattered. Agatha cursed angrily. Mephitis. You villain, you actually deceived me. Watching this scene from a distance, Wanda frowned. Mephitis, one of the Mephisto dimensions, the hell demon in charge of the fire hell. Agatha made a deal with him. Wanda suddenly felt wary, and origin magic power suddenly enveloped her. However, after the parchment was burned, nothing seemed to happen. Agatha was deceived. Forget it, let's stop here, witch. Wanda, who didn't feel anything strange at all, suddenly raised her hand and shook her hands gently. The magic power in Agatha's body surged out like a flood. A high concentration of magic quickly gathered in front of Wanda. That was Agatha's magic. No, stop. Feeling the magic power flowing away from her body, Agatha's face was full of panic. I struggled to prevent this from happening, but it was completely useless. Until the last trace of magic power was drained out, Agatha stopped struggling as if she had resigned herself to her fate. Wanda imprisoned the magic in front of her with origin magic power. Then he raised his hand again and shook Agatha gently. The scarlet magic power built a cage to envelope Agatha, and under Wanda's control, it turned into a small Rubik's Cube, which slowly fell into the palm of her hand. Pietro, aren't you done yet? It's been done a long time ago. I don't know if the meat of this rabbit is edible. Pietro held up the rabbit ears in his hand with a playful smile and shook them. The rabbit, who completely rolled his eyes, had already stopped moving. That time, Wanda nodded slightly, the surrounding magic sealing circle dispersed, and the cognitive obstruction was also cleared. Although there was such a battle between magicians above. But the people below were completely unaware of what happened. Only a secretly observing gaze gradually dispersed. Sir, we're back. Dragging the magic condensation with one hand and the cage with the other, Wanda landed gently. When I came back, I didn't forget to restore the floor-to-ceiling windows that had been violently dismantled. Well done. I am useful, I am still useful, I know many, many secrets. You can't kill me. As soon as Wanda landed, Agatha, who was imprisoned in the Chaos Rubik's Cube, spoke quickly. Quiet, I didn't let you speak. Wanda grasped it with her right palm, and the Chaos Rubik's Cube shrunk again, scaring Agatha into shutting up. The longer you live, the more you fear death. This is the normal state of most people who are destined to survive. Such as Agatha. Sir, what do I do with her and this now? Wanda placed the magic condensed body in her hand and the Chaos Rubik's Cube that imprisoned Agatha on the table. Bright eyes stared at Moyu, seeking Moyu's opinion. Moyu glanced at it and then said, "This is your trophy, just use it for yourself. When absorbing this magic condensation, remember to use chaos force to filter to ensure the purity of the magic power, otherwise it may affect your mind." As for Agatha, ladies and gentlemen, as soon as she finished speaking, Agatha said with a flattering face, "I definitely have what my husband needs in my collection, and I can give it all in exchange for my life. She will definitely need the Book of Darkness. Wanda holds chaos force, and no artifact is more suitable for Wanda than the Dark Book." At least that's what Agatha thought. The situation is stronger than the person. Now she is a prisoner. Only by showing corresponding value can she have the possibility of living. After living for so many years and spanning several centuries, she was naturally unwilling to die just like that. Book of Darkness. Listening to Agatha's words, Wanda frowned slightly. Could it be the black magic book compiled by Sithorn, the expelled ancient evil god? That's it. Agatha turned her head slightly, with a slightly flattering expression. Maybe you don't know what you represent yet, but no matter what, the Dark God book is the most suitable for you. What do I stand for? Wanda frowned and subconsciously looked at Moyu with doubtful eyes. You are the holder of origin magic power, it's that simple. Moyu gave the answer softly. If you want to know more, grow up as soon as possible. At that time, your destiny will be decided by yourself. The Scarlet Witch thing involves multi-universe, and it's hard to say clearly right now. Moreover, the world line has already changed countless times under the influence of Kyun. It doesn't matter what happened in the past, because nothing in the past can affect Wanda now. As for the future, the future is already full of fog. So what is fixed? It all depends on Wanda's choice. Hearing this, Wanda also nodded and temporarily suppressed the unnecessary thoughts in her heart. Only Agatha still had some doubts in her heart. But obviously, disrupting the government at this time is undoubtedly a stupid move that will lead to self-destruction. She was very sensible and said nothing. Having said this, Moyu stretched out his hand and threw it into the space next to him. When he pulled out his palm, there was already a hardbound book exuding a rich dark aura on his right hand wrapped in purple light. This is the Book of Darkness. Moyu, you are not suitable for contacting it now. Wait until your power is immune to its corrupting influence before learning, lest your cognition and soul be distorted by the power above and you lose yourself. Adertisement. Then I'd better not touch it. Whoever likes this crappy book wants it. Upon hearing that the power of the Dark God book may distort cognition and soul, and even make people lose themselves, Tien shook his head decisively. There was already a hint of disgust in his eyes as he looked at the Book of Darkness. Life is very good now, and she is also very good now, and there is no need to change anything. Thinking of Agatha's ghostly appearance being eroded by the dark book, Wanda shook her head. The Book of Darkness, it's best not to touch that kind of evil thing. Moyu nodded slightly and sealed the dark book in his hand with the raw stone of power. Just wait until Wanda has the ability to be immune to the corrosion before taking it out. Then, sir, how to deal with this guy? Pietro next to him pointed at the trapped Agatha. Let Wanda decide for herself. Moyu shrugged. Let me think about it. Wanda thought for a moment, then slowly stretched out her right hand, with a slight light shining on her fingertips, and tapped it gently. The cage with Agatha imprisoned on the table disappeared together with Agatha and the rabbit in Pietro's hands. Done. Wanda clapped her hands. I thought I could have braised rabbit tonight. Looking at his empty hands, Pietro shook his head in disappointment. This rabbit is so fat, it must taste great. Wanda smiled and said, if you want to eat, can you just go down and buy it? By the way, remember to buy more other ingredients, there aren't many left in the kitchen. Okay, I'll go right away. Pietro nodded quickly and disappeared into an afterimage. Sir, today is worth celebrating. What would you like to eat tonight? Seeing Pietro disappear, Wanda looked at Moyu expectantly. Just the same as usual. Moyu responded with a smile. You decide, I'm usually not picky about food. Understood. Then, sir, I'm going to practice first. Just look forward to the big dinner in the evening. Wanda nodded slightly, then picked up the magic condensation on the table, put her hands behind her back with a smile on her face, and walked slowly to her room. After watching Wanda leave, Moyu changed his eyes. A familiar voice rang in my ears. She is very good. She is growing faster than expected. It seems that you have taught her well. I didn't do much, it was Wanda who worked hard enough. Ability and hard work are indispensable, but if there is no one to guide you, you will inevitably take many detours and even go astray. Single quote. Come on, magician came to me today not just to talk about this, right? Indeed, according to the observations of today's days, there are abnormalities in all major dimensions, especially the hell dimension and the dark dimension. I think there will be a turmoil soon. My reasons. One thing, but not all, is that Dimension Mephisto has been coveting the Earth for a long time, and today is just an excuse to take action. Being a straggler is useless and makes no progress at all. It's actually a bit boring. Oh, by the way, I have observed a lot of time fluctuations recently, and they are most likely targeting you. Be careful of being erased from time when you are weak. Quote. Are you careful about being erased from time? Time management. That's kind of interesting. Okay, I understand, thank you magician for reminding me. After all, you are also one of the guarantees, no need to thank me. Give me back my emotion. Time fluctuates multiple times. Thinking about Ancient One Magician's previous reminder, Moyu had a strange expression. Time fluctuations, for me. If it was really TVA, it would have come to the door a long time ago. After all, many things have been changed by his hands. It stands to reason that the sacred timeline has already branched. And it's not just one or two. Isn't it a little late to come to your door now? Moreover, even excluding his own existence, the appearance of the chat group is completely outside the scope of discussion. Even Tony, one of the absolute protagonists of the Holy God timeline, is still in the group. Does TVA have the ability to observe the existence of chat groups? Joke. At most, the abnormal development of the timeline has been observed. But the time fluctuation thing may be true. The Ancient One Magician had no reason to amuse him. It can only be said that the possibility of the time administration is very high. But what specifically caused the time fluctuations remains open to question. The time stone is still in the hands of Ancient One, so nothing will happen. In addition to the original time stones, there seem to be quite a few things that can cause time fluctuations. The elimination method is not useful at all. And there is a completely uncertain quantum realm. There is no way to speculate on the source of the time fluctuations. Ancient One Magician's endless reminder made Moyu feel embarrassed for a moment. The incident has not happened yet and the root cause cannot be found. Can you just sit back and wait? Don't wait for Moyu to figure out why. An extremely special fluctuation instantly caught Moyu's attention. There seemed to be some fluctuations in the space outside the Empire State Building. No, it's not just space, it seems to also contain some power of time. The Ancient One Magician came just after he finished speaking. I was just wondering what kind of monster it is. Moyu stood up from the recliner, took a step forward, and arrived outside the Empire State Building, where time and space fluctuated. After staring at that node for a long time, Moyu's frown slowly relaxed. Time and space have indeed fluctuated, and there is indeed something that wants to break through the timeline from a certain point in time and come here. But it's all in vain. Although the node fluctuated, it had no intention of opening it. Moyu was very sure that it was not the effect of the Holy Place Array. The MCU's timeline is not so solid. It is not difficult to see that the people who want to come are very eager. Hundreds of attempts were made in just 10 seconds. It looks like I can't get in, but what about the one who can't get out? Thinking of this, Moyu gently raised his hand, and the unfinished space-time engine started to run. The right hand wrapped in the power of time and space gently probed towards the node, and easily passed through the node in front of him. The moment he passed through the node and touched the source of the fluctuations in time and space, Moyu retracted his hand. The turbulent nodes in front of him suddenly became quiet. In Moyu's hand, there was a device that looked like a pager. Time controller. Is this really TVA? Looking at the time controller in his hand, Moyu raised his eyebrows. Has his time finally been targeted by TVA? But their people can't seem to come in, but I can come in and out at will. You can even easily grab things from other time points and bring them back. With such an unabashed bias, Moyu could only think of one answer. Obviously, currently only the group original can do this. So, is this protecting group members originally from external causal forces? A bit domineering, a bit perverted, but I like it very much. Apart from these, Moyu has no way to get more information for the time being. He has no way of knowing what is happening in the current MCU. Now, he has not yet completed the space-time engine, so he is unable to actively observe time and does not know what exactly happened. But all in all, this is a good thing, isn't it? The ability to attack the law of immune causation is extremely abnormal. Although it does not come from oneself, but from the group. But this is equivalent to a protective talisman. At least it would be completely impossible to travel back in time to kill original members who were still in their weak period. Now Moyu can understand why the Time Management Bureau has not come to the door for so long. It's not that they don't want to come, it's that they simply can't come. All timelines involving Moyu and Tony are already unbreakable. But this also raises another question. Is Moyu currently in the main universe or a branch universe? Will all his actions lead to the birth of branches? Now he can't verify it. It is even more impossible to enter TVA alone to ask for answers. The risks are completely out of proportion to the benefits. Thank you for the gift. Turning the time controller in his hand, Moyu returned to his recliner with a smile. There is no need to worry about erasure from across time. But the crisis remains. He needs to grow up as soon as possible to the point where he can ignore the impact of the law of cause and effect. After all, I have no idea whether the protection from the group is permanent. What if it's just a novice protection period? Once it's over, the trouble will come back again. Or only if you become stronger yourself. At the same time, within the Time Management Bureau, Mobius and the mutant Loki were looking at each other with completely incomprehensible eyes. The time administration you said can go to that timeline if it wants to. But now that here, something seems wrong. Not only can we not get through, but your time controller has also been robbed. Variation Loki put his hands on his hips with an incomprehensible expression, staring at Mobius, who had no idea what to say. Some thoughts that had been extinguished were resurrected at this moment. This is impossible, Mobius subconsciously retorted, but looking at his empty right hand, he couldn't explain why for a moment. He had never encountered this situation before. In other words, the Time Management Bureau has never encountered it. There is still time that they can't get through. And someone can actually snatch the time controller from him in the Time Management Bureau from within time. How could something like this happen? This is so ridiculous, he must still be dreaming. Or is it an illusion? Thinking of this, Mobius turned and glared at Loki. This must be a prank on your part, Han. Hurry up and return the time controller to me, we still have tasks to complete. What? Loki said, feeling ridiculous. Are you crazy or am I crazy? If I can use my power here, guess what the result will be? Mobius was instantly sunk. What Loki said made sense, but he was also confused. No, I have to go back and check the files. Ding. Tasaka Sakura, Style and Butterfly Kanae, Akatsuki Nagato, and the immortal King Suzuki Satoru joined the group. There have been no new members in the group for a long time, and 4 new members entered the group at once. Everyone in the water group unanimously turned their attention to the newcomer. Pioneer Star. It's amazing today, 4 newcomers are here at once, and there is also a title that looks very much like a villain. Traveler Ying. Indeed, it can be easily distinguished from the title. Slime Rimuru. Am I the only one who cares that one of the 4 new members of the group has no title at all? Iron Man Tony. Don't worry, you're not the only one, I care about you too. Traveler Ying. What is the reason for this? Is it an ordinary person? Iron Man Tony. This is not necessarily true. Before I became Iron Man, I was just an ordinary person. Didn't I still win the title of Playboy? Pioneer Star. What Tony said makes sense. Maybe the keynote in the world of this new member has not yet been reached. Slime Rimuru. I couldn't find a suitable title, or maybe I didn't need a title at all, so I just didn't have one. Trailblazer Star. Aha, in short, the old rules. New people who have just joined the group must remember to read the group announcement first. You can put other things aside for a while and read the group announcement. If Renju has doubts later, we will explain. In addition, if it is convenient, it is best to introduce yourself. Traveler Ying. That's right, and remember to take a photo. Slime Rimuru. Ying, don't scare the newcomers. They must still be in a certain degree of confusion or fright. It's not too late to wait until they come to their senses. Iron Man Tony. Don't worry, you guys, stop diving, come out and see if there's anyone you know. Echiane Warrior Mojo. Kamigawa Warrior Moyu. Well, how should I put it, they are all acquaintances, one-sided acquaintances. Tasaka Sakura, I'm familiar with it. One of the tragedies of the moon. Butterfly Shane. The existence in the background of Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba is also one of the tragedies. Nagato, and Akatsuki as a prefix, can be easily guessed. Naruto, the leader of the Akatsuki organization, Nagato, suffered another tragedy. As for the last one, the immortal King Suzuki Satoru. Moyu thought for a moment, this guy should be Overlord Ainz Ulgaon, right? He remembered that this guy was called Suzuki Satoru before he changed his name to Ainz Ulgaon. Tisk, the sense of deja vu is a bit strong. Rimuru's real name is Mikami Satoru, and Ainz's real name is Suzuki Satoru. They are both called Satoru. Quite a coincidence. Style Butterfly Kanae. Well, I'm very sorry to bother you. Is everything stated in the group announcement true? Ghosts destroy the world, inside the disc house. Kanae was nervous and looking forward to it, waiting for a reply with a complicated expression. If the content in the group announcement is true, and the live broadcast records and task records uploaded by the group members are true. Thinking about that kind of terrifying scene, maybe it would be easy for them to deal with a ghost Wusuji Muzan. The Demon Slayer Corp's 1,000-year-old wish and their revenge can be avenged. Pioneer Star. It is definitely true. Although watching the live broadcast replay does not have the real immersion of the live broadcast, you can easily tell whether it is true or false, right? Traveler Ying. It's easy to tell the difference between true and false, come on, take the trick. Ding, travelers have sent a group red envelope, come and grab it. In a blink of an eye, the red envelope has been snatched up. Slime Rimuru. Oh, stingy, how can one mora for 7 people be such a thing? Pioneer Star. That's right, that's too stingy, Ying. Iron Man Tony. Although the content is poor, it is still quite useful to prove certain things. Style Butterfly Kanae. I'm very sorry. I didn't intend to question your ability. I was just too excited at the moment. Please forgive me. Picture.jpg. Kanae, who had grabbed a mora, completely believed the truth. After all, the mola in her hand looked extraordinary at first glance, and it appeared out of thin air in her hand after receiving the red envelope. How can you not believe it? In order to express her apology, the honest Kanae actually followed Ying's words and uploaded a selfie of herself to the group. Slime Rimuru. Oh, what a beautiful young lady. Her temperament is gentle, and she feels like Yamato Nadeshiko. Iron Man Tony. That's right. You can tell he's a neon man just by looking at his name. Rimuru, weren't you also a neon man before you were reincarnated? Can you forget this? Pioneer Star. Pretending, no doubt. Traveler Ying. I deeply agree. Slime Rimuru. This is a compliment, what do you mean by pretending? Be careful, I will sue you for slander. Style Butterfly Kanae. Thank you for the compliment. Tasaka Sakura. Well, I'm sorry, is this a dream? Tosakalu, who was half asleep, was a little unable to sleep due to the group chat in his mind. In a daze, he asked consciously. Pioneer Star. Good guy, there is still a confused ghost. Isn't he still awake now? Slime Rimuru. It's a bit like a natural idiot. Traveler Ying. I said, instead of us asking one by one, why not let Moyu name them one by one? Didn't he say that they are all acquaintances? Would you like to be teased first? After everyone knows each other, it will be a little bit speak slowly. Iron Man Tony. That's what I thought at the beginning, it's all Lim's fault. Slime Wong Li Jiao Rimuru. Rimuru said that he didn't want to take the blame. Who asked the red envelopes from the Yingfa group to divert attention? Unfortunately, there is only one mola in the red envelope. Kamigawa Warrior Moyu. Please wait a moment. It's too troublesome to talk to each person one by one. I made a brief video and uploaded it. It's for everyone except me. You can just watch it for yourself. Body. After finishing his words, Moyu used his own memory as a model and used the gene engine to reproduce part of the scene for editing. Finally, it was uploaded directly to the group in the form of PPT. Convenient. Group member Kamigawa Warrior Moyu uploads video footage, and all group members can watch it. Slime Rimuru. Is there still such an operation? Surprised. Kamigawa Warrior Moyu. What a surprise, can't you do it yourself? Slime Rimuru. After Moyu uploaded the self-made PPT. Whether they are peeping at the screen, diving, or watching cautiously, they all choose to watch. Even the old group members made the same choice. The group was even silent for a long time. Genshin Impact Ying, Star Railroad Star, Reincarnated Slime Rimuru, Introduction to MCU History Tony, Holy Grail War Tasaka Sakura, Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba Kana Megumi, Naruto Nagato, Overlord Suzuki Satoru. Although the actual content is not long, and most of it is an introduction to the original members of the group, it does not involve too many other factors. But even so, the old group members, who had gone through several rounds of spoilers, still got a lot of information from it. Slime Rimuru. Well, this is the end of the spoilers. Although there are only 1 or 2 short scenes, I have probably guessed what will happen next, but it's just right, let me guide you in the future. Trailblazer Star. I feel the same way. There are always people who say that destiny cannot be broken. I really don't believe it. It may be a bit difficult to rely on myself, but I am determined. Iron Man Tony. Sigh. My scalp is numb. Traveler Ying. Who is not the mentioned? Iron Man Tony. Let's not talk about us first. Compared with us, there are 2 group members who may be in a very bad situation next. Pioneer Star. Do you want to say it's Sakura and Kanae? Slime Rimuru. Tokiomi killed 1,000 swords, bugs, evil spirits. I really want to use the Black Flame prison to burn them all. Iron Man Tony. It has been clearly stated in the introduction. Judging from the usual urine behavior, the node, is definitely approaching. If we don't think of a way, it might be a bit bad. Hashira Butterfly Kanae. Thank you for your concern, but, no problem, if I was unaware, I might die, but now, maybe this is the perfect opportunity for the Demon Slayer squad to annihilate the Kameki. I will think a way to persuade the Lord and unite with the other pillars to encircle and suppress Tongmo. If she hits the second string without knowing it, she will indeed die as described in the introduction. But now that we know it, if we make good use of this foresight and unite with the other pillars, this will become an excellent opportunity to strangle the second string. You know AECD, the Winding Ghost has not been changed for hundreds of years. Pioneer Star. The idea is good, but it would be a bit unrealistic for the Demon Slayer pillar joint operation to hide it from Onambutsuji Muzai. Onitsuji Muzai can share the memories of other ghosts and has countless spies. It is very difficult to avoid being discovered. Once the actions of your Demon Slayer squad are exposed, and in the presence of the Demon Narum, you will most likely be surrounded by demons, and even Demon Maitsuji Mumi will be there. If you are surrounded by winding ghosts, even Wuhan appears in person. There is no way the current Demon Slayer squad will be spared. The Demon Slayer Corps wants to annihilate evil spirits, so why doesn't Demon Slayer want to destroy the Demon Slayer Corps together? Once the action is exposed, Kanae shudders at the consequences. Thinking of this, Solid State suddenly became hesitation. Her life and death are not important, but if she affects everyone in the Demon Slayer Corps, or even the Lord, maybe facing Tongmo alone is still the best choice. Style Butterfly Kanae. Maybe it is the best choice for me to face Tongmo. Traveler Ying. Don't be too pessimistic. It's just an evil ghost that can't see the light. There are many people in the group who can easily solve it. Don't worry about the Almighty One. Come and think of a solution. Kamigawa Warrior Moyu. It's you who talks big words, but it's me who solves the problem. Traveler Ying. Oh, don't worry about this, you can definitely solve it, right? Even without traveling to Kanae's world. Slime Rimuru. Hehe, I also have a way. After I came into contact with something like a talisman in Ying's world last time, the Great Sage has been busy during this time. I have successfully reproduced the talisman that conceals skills. Although some additional skills and special skills cannot be copied into the talisman, some ordinary ones can still be used. I will give you a talisman with the skill Black Flame Hell and a Black Lightning Seal. After meeting Tongmo, feel free to use it, just aim at the target and tear it apart. Private red envelope has been sent. Iron Man Tony. Good guy, the talisman that seals the Black Flame Prison and the Black Lightning, you really think highly of this evil ghost. Tony has seen Rimuru's Black Flame Hell and Black Lightning. They are all the main attack skills when fighting Ogzir. The Black Flame Prison, within a completely sealed barrier, detonates the already ultra-high temperature Black Flame for a second time, thus bringing the temperature close to or even exceeding the surface of the sun. The power of Black Lightning is basically the same as that of Black Flame Hell. With Rimuru's current strength, if he were to fight the Pig-Headed Emperor, either of these two moves would be able to defeat the Pig-Headed Emperor directly. As long as Tongmo is hit, he will be turned into ashes directly. No matter how much super regeneration is done, it will be useless. To kill one, use the two major skills of Black Flame Hell and Black Lightning. Are you looking too high on this ghost? Style Butterfly Kanae. This is too precious. Pioneer Star. Just accept it with peace of mind. The talisman that has been successfully engraved is just a piece of paper to Rimuru. After all, once his Great Sage is successfully engraved, as long as he has the materials, by consuming some magic element, the output will be infinite. Iron Man Tony. Indeed, Rimuru's Great Sage and stomach are like artificial intelligence and fully automated factories. As long as the technology and materials are in place, and there is magic, anything can be made. Kamigawa Warrior Moyu. That's a good idea, Rimuru. Slime Rimuru. Hehe, thank you. In the courtyard of the disc house. Kanae looked at the two ordinary talismans in her hands, her eyes full of horror. She had seen the live broadcast of Rimuru's battle with Osel, and she also knew Black Flame Hell and Black Lightning. The Black Lightning that penetrates the sky, the Black Flame that burns the sea. This kind of terrifying thing is now sealed in the two talismans in hand. Are everyone in the group gods? Sister, why are you dazed with two pieces of paper? I'm almost overwhelmed. Oh, wait, it's coming. After carefully putting the talisman in his hand into his arms, Kanae then took steps towards the room. There are still injured people in the house who need to be taken care of. Let's find a time later to solemnly express our gratitude and apology. Iron Man Tony. Kanae's situation is considered stable, but then again, there are two newcomers in the group who haven't bubbled up at all, right? Traveler Ying. Well, I guess you were shocked by the content in the PPT, right? Slime Rimuru. I am a little worried about Tasaka Sakura's condition. After all, she is still a child. She should be frightened if she comes into contact with these things rashly, right? Pioneer Star. I don't know how to comfort you at all. Tasaka Residence. Feeling the information in her mind, Sakura, who was still a little confused before, now wakes up. But he still remained silent, with some tears shining in his eyes. I don't know if I'm sad or scared, or both. After all, Tasaka Sakura is just a 6-year-old child. That kind of future is really too cruel for her at this moment. Traveler Point Ying. At Farsaka Sakura, can I call you Sakura? Don't worry, everyone in the group, well, most of them are good people. You can completely rely on everyone as your closest people. Oh, we will be your biggest backend. Tasaka Sakura. Thank you, sister. I kind of want to sleep. Trailblazer Star. Is it night over there? It doesn't matter. It's important to rest first. When you want to chat with your sisters, just add in the group at any time. Tasaka Sakura. Well, good night, sisters. As Tasaka Sakura fell silent, Hoshi and Raya could only shrug helplessly. Sure enough, the impact was a little bit bigger. This child is probably in a state of self-protection called escaping reality. It's a bit difficult to handle. It's better to wait until Tasaka Sakura's mood stabilizes a little before she can think of a solution. Iron Man Tony. There is a 6-year-old child among the members who joined the group this time. This is something I have never thought of before. I have to say it is a bit strange. Slime Rimuru. Indeed, but if you put aside my age before reincarnation, I am the youngest in the group, okay. Trailblazer Star. Shouldn't it be me? Traveler Ying. You just lost your memory, and you didn't travel or be reborn. What's so small about it? Oh, the tablet is real. Pioneer Star. Kill you, Ying. Angry.jpg. Traveler Ying. Why don't you let people tell the truth? Lianluoluo.jpg. Pioneer Star. Knife.jpg. Kamigawa Warrior Moyu. Okay, let's stop making trouble now. Also, at Xiao Zhongmen, at Wu Si Wang Suzuki Satoru, aren't you two talking yet? After a moment of silence in the group, Nagato was the first to break the silence. Akatsuki Nagato. What you have shown undoubtedly denies everything I am now, and denies all my choices and consciousness. I am not willing and dare not believe it. However, I know very clearly that all this is not an illusion, but a real existence. So, I only have one question now, is everything I have seen and experienced all lies? Are the death of his parents, Yahiko's death, the establishment of the Akatsuki organization, and these eyes all lies? Are all my actions and all my choices the product of lies? Kamigawa Warrior Moyu. When you asked all this, you already had the answer in your heart, didn't you? Iron Man Tony. The truth is always cruel, accepting reality as soon as possible is also a choice. Slime Rimuru. Is it as simple as you said, Tony? My life has been controlled by the mastermind behind the scenes. It makes me shudder to think about it. Traveler Ying. Indeed, I feel the same way. Your actions are always predicted by certain beings. What you will encounter and how it will develop are all controlled by others. Thinking about it is really infuriating. Pioneer Star. We are all in the same boat. Although I have not reached this level of misery, there is no doubt that I am still being followed. However, it is true that after joining the group, you will have more choices. At Xiao Zhongmen, after knowing all this, you can rely on the existence of the group, plan and act, and personally break the cage that binds you. Your destiny will inevitably return to your own hands. Akatsuki Nagato. Is there still any meaning? Nagato's calm rhetorical question made most people dumbfounded. Living in this situation, what meaning does this world have to Nagato? Warrior Kamigawa Moyu. Forgive me for not being able to empathize with you. Maybe the world is meaningless to you, but you still have regrets. You still have Xiaonan, and you still have the Samsara Eye for the time being, and can use the heretical and reincarnated technique. As long as you want it, Limuru's recovery medicine can gradually restore your health, and even return you to your full glory. Using this as a starting point, with the help of the group and everyone, you can grow to the point where you can ignore the restrictions of the Samsara Eye and easily resurrect Yahiko and resurrect your parents. Are these enough to support you going forward? Is it enough to keep me going? Definitely enough, why not? He wants to resurrect Yahiko, resurrect his parents, and take revenge on Uchiha Madara and Uchiha Obito who control his life. He wants to do it all with his own hands. Nagato's expression switched back and forth between ferocious and nostalgic, and finally calmed down slowly. Akatsuki Nagato. Okay, what do I need to pay? As long as I have it and can get it, I can give it to you. At Slime Rimuru. Slime Rimuru. That's not necessary, I am still willing to help the group members. It is also a fate that we can gather everything in so many worlds. As partners, we should cherish this fate. Yes. Private red envelope has been sent. Akatsuki Nagato. Thank you very much. If my broken body is useful in the future, please give me your instructions. Partner. Looking at the set of recovery medicines in his hand, which looked complex, he raised his hand with difficulty and bit open the bottle cap with his mouth. Half a set of recovery medicine was poured down directly. Ahem. After a slight cough, bits of fluorescence appeared. The thin body with only bones gradually became plump. The almost exhausted vitality is also recovering at an extremely fast speed. This medicine works. At the same time, seeing how lively the group was, Suzuki said that he couldn't sit still. Especially after Rimuru said the striking word, partner. He couldn't sit still at all. Immortal King Suzuki Satoru. Ahem, hello to everyone in the group, I'm sorry to speak now, actually. Resurrection is not difficult. If possible, I can help. The group was quiet for a few seconds, and then a bunch of question marks popped up. Is it not difficult to be resurrected? Look, is this human language? But it seems normal. Suzuki Satoru's current identity was transformed from the game. In other words, something extremely difficult for them. Suzuki Satoru can do it with just magic or props. It's really a struggle for people to die. Seeing the sudden silence in the group, Suzuki Yu panicked. Immortal King Suzuki Satoru. Isn't it? He hasn't even counted how much of that stuff he has in stock yet. There are too many low-level consumables to count, and not many high-level consumables, but they can be reused as soon as the cooldown time expires, which is almost unlimited. Although certain resurrection conditions are required, it is easy to achieve, isn't it? Wait, don't the group members' perceptions differ from his? Have you exposed too much? Suzuki Satoru, who was a little flustered, saw a burst of green light floating on the skeleton frame, and then calmed down. Pioneer Star. It's just that my mind didn't change for a moment. It's not that surprising when I think about it carefully. Slime Rimuru. Indeed, those who have played the game will probably know what's going on. It's really convenient. Suzuki, he is a top-level player when he appears. He is the envy of the real name system. Traveler Ying. You guys still want to talk about others. You have so many skills as soon as you time travel, and a top boss named you. Rimuru, does your conscience really not hurt when you say these words? Kamigawa Warrior Moyu. Ying, you seem to be one of the representatives who reached the peak when you first appeared, but most of your power has been sealed. Traveler Ying. The power you can't use is like having no power at all. Do you understand my pain? I burst into tears. JPG. The full level large size is sealed. Now when I encounter monsters that I could easily deal with before, I have to fight for a long time and even get beaten. Who knows, family members. Akatsuki Nagato. Power that does not belong to oneself, power that cannot be used, is ultimately useless. Nagato expressed deep feelings about this. After all, the power he is using now is not his own. Pioneer Star. Touch your head. JPG. Slime Rimuru. Touch your head. JPG. Iron Man Tony. I won't take my side this time. You are all perverts. It doesn't hurt to stand and speak. You speak so lightly. How can we, ordinary people, be embarrassed? Although he also obtained the ancient dragon power in the last mission. But it only has a mere 5% completeness, which is not much better than ordinary Eye of God holders. Compared with these guys in the group who can destroy the world at every turn. How miserable. Kamigawa Warrior Moyu. It's a crooked building, it's a crooked building. Today is not a competition for misfortune. Please calm down a bit. Pioneer Star. Ah, indeed, Mr. Skeleton, I'm sorry for interrupting your speech. Mr. Skeleton. Suzuki Satoru looked down at his pale, broad frame and couldn't help but feel sad. But under a burst of green light, everything was dull. Ah, that's good. Although he turned into a skeleton, it was better than those desperate days. Just when Suzuki Satoru was about to continue speaking, a figure came to the throne with elegant steps and bowed gently. Lord Momonga, the Asgardians have gathered in the arena on the 6th floor, and Sebastian, who was out for reconnaissance, has also returned, waiting for Lord Momonga to arrive. Oh, I understand, please withdraw. Suzuki Satoru waved his hand with a serious face to signal Albedo to retreat. Yes, Momonga-sama. Seeing Albedo leave, Suzuki Satoru breathed a sigh of relief. Immortal King Suzuki Satoru. Everyone, my current situation is a little bit bad. Please tell me how to avoid the situation in the introduction, well, being misunderstood by Demiurge and then being led around. Condition. Slime Rimuru. Generally speaking, just tell the truth. Traveler Ying. Although I really want to complain. But, you regard Asgardian as a child left behind by your friends, right? In this case, it's better to have a heart-to-heart relationship. If you overact, you will definitely make the same mistake again. Iron Man Tony. If you are not a boss or employee, then I don't have much experience. After all, my life and interpersonal relationships are also a mess. Pioneer Star. This matter is more difficult to handle. Please don't forget that Mr. Skull and his men, except for Sebastian among them, the justice values of all other members are negative, and most of the Asgardians are it as extremely evil and cannot be deduced according to common sense. Kamigawa Warrior Moyu. But they still retain their rationality. Although their thinking is different from ordinary people, as long as their rationality is still there, it is enough. My suggestion is that the play still has to be performed, but you need to change 10 directions. At least not an absolutely majestic ruler. Otherwise, you will easily be unable to get out of trouble when encountering problems. Don't you regard Asgardians as the children of your friends? Then just play the role of a loving father who chooses to stay here for the sake of his children. This will not only maximize the respect and love of the Asgardian, but also prevent the impression of being too wise. If the latter is really unavoidable, your identity is still here. Is there anything that cannot be communicated well between a child and his father? Look at Moyu's speech. Suzuki Satoru felt enlightened. Immortal King Suzuki Satoru. A wonderful idea, thank you very much, I must take action immediately, please forgive me for being rude, gentlemen. Slime Rimuru. There's no need to apologize. It's better to deal with the important things first, and you can take your time with the rest. Kamigawa Warrior Moyu. There is another issue that you need to pay attention to, if you don't want to completely lose your humanity and become an emotionless and decedent. Saw this speech. Suzuki Satoru, who had just stood up, immediately sat down. A burst of green light appeared involuntarily on his body again. Completely lose humanity and become an emotionless immortal. Although rationally I don't think it's a big problem. But his instinct told him that this thing was definitely bad. Immortal King Suzuki Satoru. I always feel bad, but I don't know what to do. Is there anything you can do? This question brought down a lot of people again. I have never experienced this situation at all, so I have no experience. Kamigawa Warrior Moyu. Just refer to Rimuru. Slime Rimuru. Refer to me. Why? Kamigawa Warrior Moyu. Children's innocence is conducive to growth. Well, that's probably the case. Slime Rimuru. Rimuru's eyes twitched slightly, wanting to say something back. But that seems to be the case. Well, shall we refer to Rimuru-senpai's experience? He was not the only monster in the group, which made Suzuki Satoru relax a little. If he was the only one who was different, I'm afraid it would be a bit troublesome. And if he can maintain a part of his humanity, Suzuki Satoru naturally doesn't want to completely turn into a monster. After all, he was still a human before. It just turns into the game character you created in the blink of an eye. As a senior who joined the group before him, Rimuru's experience is definitely not comparable to that of a junior who just joined the group. I need to find time to ask Rimuru-senpai for his experience in the future. With anticipation and trepidation, Suzuki Satoru's thoughts moved slightly, and the ring on his finger flickered. The next second, the whole person, well, the entire skeleton disappeared between the thrones. At the same time, on the other side, Slime Rimuru. Speaking of which, there are now 9 people in the group, and there seems to be no special changes. I originally thought that the more people there were, the more functions the group would open, but it was completely different from what we expected. Iron Man Tony, are you actually just looking forward to traveling through time and changing your name? Slime Rimuru, changing your name or something? I'm not bothered anymore, but don't you want to travel through time or something? Iron Man Tony, that's true, I'm definitely looking forward to it. Kamigawa Warrior Moyu. So far, we have only been to Teyvat where the deceased is, and we were able to go there because we had missions. We want to travel independently, but we haven't seen any signs of it yet. Pioneer Star. I don't know if any of the new members will trigger the mission, so I'm looking forward to it. Traveler Ying. Do you think the chance of triggering the mission is higher over there? I will be excluded here. After all, it just happened once, and the chance of the second time is very small. I guess I have to wait until I go to the next one, country. Slime Rimuru. Everything is normal here. Although I am a little concerned about the children that Miss Jing is taking care of, there is still time. I need to be fully prepared before I can go there. That guy named Hinata, I am now not completely sure of winning. Iron Man Tony. Indeed, it is said that you were 10 times as strong as you were at the beginning. But that is not necessarily the case now. Traveler Ying. It is said that he was the target of Rimuru at the beginning. Now Rimuru is not weak. Slime Rimuru. Definitely, I have been growing, okay. During the time I joined the group, I have acquired several super skills, although I am not sure whether I can defeat Hinata directly, but self-protection is absolutely fine. Warrior of Kamigawa Moyu. It is still unknown what the conditions are for triggering the mission, but one prerequisite is that the world line changes. I have taken the initiative to try several times, but maybe the conditions are insufficient, so the task has not been triggered. I have no choice for the time being. Well, maybe after I finish analyzing the power of the ancient dragon, I can play a big one. Found a Hydra den, killed Shaw and grabbed the dark book. He even snatched a time controller from the Time Management Bureau. Obviously a lot of things have changed, but there is no reaction at all. Is it possible that he needs to kill the seeds of the Celestials inside the Earth to react? Or just serve Thanos directly? Iron Man Tony. Wait, have you already taken action? And more than once or twice? Kamigawa Warrior Moyu. Otherwise, what do you think I am doing during this time? Iron Man Tony. Hiss. Tony took a breath, not knowing what to say. Pioneer Star. By the way, speaking of world line changes, Kafka's projection was on the train before, persuading us to change the route to Shenzhou Luofu. Don't worry, do you think there is any article that can be done here? Immortal Boat Luofu. Moyu thought for a moment. Kamigawa Warrior Moyu. The situation on your side is relatively complicated. Before you are too sure, it is best not to act recklessly. At least wait until there are more than 3 in the group who can match your World Star God level combat effectiveness. Trailblazer Star. I understand. Traveler Ying. We still have to wait for a long time. Currently, there is ability to compete with the Star God. It seems that you are the only one with ability, right? Kamigawa Warrior Moyu. I haven't reached that level of normality yet, so don't talk nonsense. Iron Man Tony. Normal. Come on, I believe you. However, except for you, the actual combat effectiveness of most people in the group seems to be very weak. Even Rimuru, who is in the second sequence, can't do a single star explosion now, right? Slime Rimuru. I really can't do it by myself. I'm far from it. According to our classification, I am now considered a natural disaster level monster. I can probably destroy a big country. Akatsuki Nagato. I would like to ask, what do you mean by solo star explosion? Destroying a country, with his current state and the ability of the Samsara Eye, he can do it, but the exploding star, does he refer to the moon in the sky? Doesn't that seem impossible? Pioneer star. Simple, you can understand it as Moyu can easily blow up the planet at the foot of the ninja world with one punch, and no scum will be left behind. Akatsuki Nagato. Nagato fell silent for a moment. Destroy the entire ninja world with one punch. Annihilate all the planets under your feet. Compared with him, how dare you call yourself a god? Suddenly I felt super ashamed. Style Butterfly Kanae. It's completely unimaginable, it's like a god is alive. Slime Rimuru. Hey, Kanae, are you done? Style Butterfly Kanae. Yes, I just finished dealing with the injured and happened to be free. Kamigawa Warrior Moyu. Just in time, Kanae, I have something to ask you. Style Butterfly Shane. Okay, as long as I can do it, Mr. Moyu, please give me your instructions. Kamigawa Warrior Moyu. It's not a big deal. Please take the time to catch a living ghost, draw some blood and send it to me in a red envelope. I'll see if I can annihilate it directly from the source through technological means. Slime Rimuru. Yes, I'm here to help too. The great sage may have a solution. Iron Man Tony. Give it to me, forget it, this guy Moyu has already taken action, I guess I can't keep up with the progress. Style Butterfly Kanae. Thank you very much, please wait a moment, I'll go right now. I'm sorry. When mentioning the Nichiren sword, Kanae didn't stop at all and left the disc house quickly. It is about whether the evil spirits can be eliminated from the source, and we must seize the time. Sister, where are you going? I have something to do, so I'll leave it to you to take care of it, Ren. I'll be back before dawn. Watching his sister leave quickly, Butterfly Ren frowned, secretly worried. Watch the discussion among the group members. Review the content of previous group tasks. Nagato's mind suddenly became active. After the world line is changed, will the mission be triggered if certain conditions are met, allowing group members to come to the ninja world? If it were them, what Uchiha Madara, what Six Paths Sage, they are all rubbish. There will definitely be no chance if you wait in Rain Ninja Village. Only taking the initiative will do. As for Black Zetsu and Uchiha Obito who are lurking in the dark. With his current complete state, plus the reincarnation eye is now in his hands. There is absolutely nothing to fear from these two guys. In this case, let me do it. Xiaonan. Nagato made the decision and contacted Conan immediately. The only person he can trust now is Xiaonan. Nagato. The flying paper slowly outlines Xiaonan's appearance. After seeing Nagato's current state, Conan's eyes suddenly widened. Nagato, what are you? As you can see, Xiaonan. Nagato opened his hands with a smile on his face. I have recovered now. That's great, Xiaonan cried with joy when she saw Nagato who was no longer skinny. It's not the time to be happy yet, Xiaonan. Nagato clenched his fist. I have understood everything and made a new plan. I plan to take the initiative to attack Konoha and directly start the Fourth Ninja World War. Pain Six Paths has already set off first. Xiaonan frowned. Nagato had changed so much that she couldn't adapt to it for a while. Moreover, he directly gave up the plan that had been prepared for so many years. You'll understand, Conan. Nagato took a deep breath. All of this is preparing for Yahiko's resurrection. Hearing Nagato mention Yahiko again, Conan was stunned for a moment, and then said nervously. Nagato, although you have recovered now, you are born with the trap of reincarnation. No need to worry, Nagato said solemnly. I have found a way to resurrect without too much cost, and I am absolutely sure. This is the absolute confidence of being backed by a group of people. Even if he can't do it, as long as he is willing to pay a certain amount of compensation and ask his friends to take action, it will be fine. It is imperative to resurrect Yahiko. Hearing this, Xiaonan was silent for a moment, and then nodded deeply. If there is anyone in this world worthy of Xiaonan's concern, the master-disciple friendship with Jiraiya counts as one. The only one left is Nagato. Nagato, Sleepy Leaf Village is a tough nut to crack. After calming down, Xiaonan said softly, do I need to notify the organization members? Need not. Nagato immediately shook his head. The heritage of Konoha village is not as great as we thought. None of the Sannin are here. Except for the Sandaime Hokage, there is only one Metkai who needs to be vigilant. The others are not a worry. In other words, the threat of the third Hokage is not even as great as that of Metkai. After all, with the Samsara Eye in his hand, attribute ninjutsu is completely ineffective against him, and Hungry Ghost Path can overcome all attribute ninjutsu. In addition to sealing away the zombies with one move, the third Hokage can do nothing. Good. Listening to Nagato's description, Conan nodded slightly in agreement. Let's go to the way of animals, the art of channeling. Boom. A line of white smoke dispersed, and Nagato and Conan disappeared instantly. At the same time, in the land of fire and in the forest outside Konoha village, the 6 paths of pain had gathered together. Nagato also came with Conan using psychic skills. Konoha seems to be very lively today. Looking at the atmosphere in Konoha village from a distance, Nagato was a little surprised. Conan said softly, "It is the Chunin exam jointly organized by Konoha and Sunagakur village." Chunin exam. Okay, let's use this as the beginning of the 4th Ninja War. As he spoke, the Rinnegan eyes in Nagato's eyes flashed with ripples, and Tendo Pain led the other 6 paths into the air, directly forcibly breaking the barrier of Konoha village and ascending to Konoha. With the support of Nagato in his full state, Tiandao Pain's extremely terrifying chakra even rolled up waves of wind pressure. Just when Nagato was about to take action directly, a crisp sound sounded in his mind. Ding! The World Line Ware Group member, Akatsuki Nagato, is located has changed, and the mission is being generated. Mission 1 Point Destroyer. Target World. Ninja World. Mission Content. Destruction. Mission Time. Infinite, until the world is destroyed. Mission Reward. 1 copy of the Origin of the World for all participants in the mission. Participants. All. Task 2 Extremely Evil. Target World. Ninja World. Mission Content. Guide the God of Otsutsuki to the Ninja World. Mission Time. Infinite, until the world is destroyed. Mission Reward. Complete Bloodline of Otsutsuki. Source. God of Otsutsuki, all participants in the mission. Participants. All. Mission 3 Conquer. Target World. Ninja World. Mission Content. Defeat or destroy the 5 ninja village, destroy the souls of the 6 path sage, Asura, and Indra, release and suppress Kaguya Otsutsuki. Task Time. Until the task is completed. Mission Reward. Samsara Eye. Source. Otsutsuki Shibaju, awarded based on the participant's contribution. The higher the contribution, the more complete the ability. Participants. All. Note. The content of the task will be selected by voting by the group members. You can abandon the vote and give up the task. This is a crisp sound. It woke up the hearts of all the members. Slime Rimuru. Nagato is awesome. Akatsuki Nagato. It was just a fluke. I just had the idea of trying it, but I didn't expect it to happen. Traveler Ying. That's awesome. Not only is a mission triggered this time, but there are 3 missions. Iron Man Tony. The goals of the first 2 missions are the same, to destroy the ninja world, but the methods are different. In essence, they are still the same thing. Slime Rimuru. Not only that, have you noticed that the time limits for the 3 missions are unlimited? Trailblazers Star. What the heck, just open the ticket and open the ticket good for Silver Season. Immortal King Suzuki Satoru. I didn't expect to be lucky enough to participate in the mission just after joining the group. It's really an honor. Style Butterfly Kanae. But, can someone as weak as me also participate in the mission? Moreover, there is Sakura in the group. Iron Man Tony. That's it. The mission seems to be a forced teleportation. She doesn't have the ability to protect herself, and she is probably still asleep. Kamigawa Warrior Moyu. We, a group of people, can't protect a child. If that's the case, let's kill him with a piece of tofu. Everyone, please vote, and then seize the time to make arrangements. Traveler Ying. Done. Trailblazer Star. Done. Slime Rimuru. Done. Iron Man Tony. Same as above. The Immortal King Suzuki Satoru. Same as above. Style Butterfly Kanae. Me too. Ding. Mission 3. Conquest is generated. Start teleportation. Nagato, what did you find? Seeing that Nagato was about to launch an attack, he suddenly stopped. Xiaonan, who had already spread her wings, was a little confused. Xiaonan. Nagato turned around with a smile on his face. A new friend is coming. I will introduce you to him in 20 seconds. New friend. Xiaonan was a little stunned. When did Nagato make new friends? She has been guarding the stronghold, why doesn't she know? Could it be that Pain met him when he was on a mission? Is he also a traitor? No, Nagato shook his head slightly. They are the hope of resurrecting Yahiko, coming from other worlds outside the ninja world. Quote question mark question mark question mark quote. Xiao Nan was confused. If she hadn't been sure that there was nothing wrong with Nagato, she would have thought that Nagato was under an illusion. Seeing that Nagato was so determined, Xiaonan didn't ask any questions and just waited quietly. 20 seconds flew by. A few glimmers of light flickered. A group of figures suddenly appeared around the two of them. Everyone is wearing strange clothes. There are men and women, there are adults and children, there is even a huge skeleton. Conan subconsciously wanted to take action, but Nagato reached out to stop him and shook his head slightly. Everyone, welcome to the ninja world. Nagato took a step forward and said slightly excitedly. Hey, Nagato. Rimuru was the first to wave to Nagato. You can do it. You have brought us such a big surprise within 2 days of joining the group. I am optimistic about you. By the way, the beauty next to you is Conan. Sister, right? It's just a fluke. Nagato nodded slightly and responded. Zonin, let me introduce to you, this is. Nagato introduced the group members one by one to Conan beside him. Everyone nodded in response. Only Sakura, who was still sleeping in Kanae's arms, could not reply. Xiaonan nodded in confusion. As someone who manages intelligence and finance within the Akatsuki organization, she has never met anyone present. Now I believe what Nagato said about coming from another world. No wonder the mission was triggered. Nagato, are you planning to attack Konoha directly? Looking at the 6 paths above Konoha who were responding to the attacks of Konoha ninjas from a distance, Moyu suddenly realized. As the destined child, Uzumaki Naruto, the reincarnation of Asura, is now in Konoha and has not grown up at all. Nagato's move is no longer as simple as a superficial change in the world line. Yes, Nagato nodded slightly. Originally, it was planned to directly trigger the 4th Ninja World War and unify the ninja world to cut through the chaos with a sharp sword. But now it seems that this goal needs to be changed. It's good to unify the ninja world. Moyu shook his head slightly. I don't think it is necessary to change this goal. This world is sick and even perverted. It may be appropriate for you to unify the ninja world. Anyway, it is impossible for the 5 major ninja villages to continue to exist. Really? Tony nodded in agreement. 6-year-old children have to go to war. There is no cure for this world. It has to be completely overturned and then recast. The situation in this world cannot be improved without uprooting all current regimes. I agree. Yingmei also nodded. Children are the hope of the future. The Konoha leaf in front of me looks prosperous, but it makes me extremely sick. I always feel like there are 10 kinds of stench in the air. I agree. Hoshino nodded. If Nagato comes to unify the ninja world, maybe it won't be bad. You are from a civilian background, and you know the sufferings faced by the common people at the bottom and what they need emotionally. It's more suitable for you to sit in this seat. I don't feel good. Nagato shook his head slightly. Maybe I was okay a long time ago, but now. I think Yahiko would be more suitable. AECD. Mr. Yahiko. Looking at the 6 paths pane above Konoha, the red light in Suzuki Satoru's eyes flickered slightly. Nagato-kun's Tendo pain is the body of Mr. Yahiko, right? Yes, Nagato nodded deeply. Suzuki nodded understandingly. The integrity of the body is extremely high, and there is no shortage of vitality. Theoretically, a 5th-level decedent can be resurrected, but there are still some uncertainties. Although it is slightly safer to use a 7th-level resurrection short staff, there are still some minor side effects. As expected, it's better to use the 9th-level price comparison, okay. Hey, after all, we are friends with the group members, maybe it would be better to use super level. Listening to Luo Wumu's thoughts, everyone rolled their eyes in unison. Although I was prepared in my heart, it still felt strangely inconsistent to hear a bunch of resurrection methods coming out of this guy's mouth. Suzuki Satoru, who had already made a decision in his heart, turned to look at Nagato. Nagato-kun, before the mission is about to end, I will resurrect Mr. Yahiko for you to avoid mishaps. What do you think of this? Thank you very much. As proud as Nagato, he couldn't help but bow slightly to show his gratitude at this moment. Thank you. Xiaonan next to him also bowed deeply. No, 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 we are all partners, as we should. Looking at this scene, Suzuki Satoru waved his hands repeatedly, and a hint of happiness could be seen on that skeletal face. But along with a burst of green light, Suzuki sighed. You can't even be happy. Okay everyone, you can reminisce at any time, now it's time to discuss the task. Tony clapped his hands and attracted everyone's attention. Mission 3 is to defeat or destroy the 5 ninja village, and eliminate the souls of the 6 path sage, Indra and Asura, as well as first release Otsutsuki Kaguya and suppress it a second time. Although the time is unlimited, I think it is still necessary. End it as soon as possible. Although there are new members in the group, the overall strength of all members is not much higher than the first time. Compared with the group of Mephistas in Osul, Otsutsuki Kaguya is a little more difficult to deal with. The 5 ninja village and so on. Whether it's Rimuru, Nagato or Suzuki Satoru, as long as you are careful, you can basically push anyone. To be fair, the long task time is a bit abnormal. The first mission has a time limit of 10 hours, but the second mission has an unlimited time limit. It looks like a trap no matter how you look at it. Yingmei nodded slightly. I agree with this. Maybe completion time is also one of the criteria for judging contribution. If we delay too long, it's all a routine. Suzuki Satoru nodded with deep understanding. In this case, the best thing for us is to work separately and solve the 5 major ninja villages at once. I think it is best to solve the ruling layers of the 5 major countries at the same time. After all, the ninja villages and the country are almost one. I always feel that this is a hidden mission. Chapter 81. What a hidden mission. Are you still playing games? However, what Suzuki Satoru said is not unreasonable. The combat power of the 5 major ninja villages accounts for about 80 to 90% of the total ninja world, but they are about the same as the mercenaries of the 5 major countries, and they are controlled by others in every way. In short, this world is very strange. So, what should we do now? Nagato was also a little undecided for a moment. Although he alone can promote the 5 ninja village, he cannot reap the benefits by himself. I'm going to make a suggestion and let's discuss it. Tony touched his chin and said. Kaguya Otsutsuki probably can only leave it to Moyu to solve the problem. After all, although that guy is a bit weak in combat awareness, he undoubtedly also has the ability to clean the Earth's surface. Although there are some among us who can compete with him, but if you want to suppress it, I guess you can only leave it to Moyu. Everyone should be okay with this, right? Agree. Agree. No problem. Indeed. Rimuru nodded first. Now against Kaguya Otsutsuki, whether I can win is a big question, let alone suppressing it. Enemies of this level should be left to Moyu to deal with. It's relatively safe. I agree too. Suzuki Satoru also nodded. I have no objection. Nagato nodded. Okay. Seeing that everyone had no objections, Tony said again. The most difficult thing is left to Moyu, and the next level is the souls of the 6 paths immortal, Indra and Asura. In this aspect, Rimuru, Suzuki Satoru and Nagato should all be better at it. How about you guys discuss it? The 3 of them were silent for a moment. Nagato was the first to speak. The Sage of 6 Paths is the second holder of the Rinnegan Eye, and his experience in using the Rinnegan Eye is beyond my comparison. If I fight against him, I probably won't get much benefit. I would choose Indra or Asura. Me too. Suzuki Satoru agreed deeply. Nagato and I correspond to Indra and Asura respectively. As for the Sage of 6 Paths, I leave it to Rimuru Senpai. Rimuru blinked. Is this really good? That's it. Moyu's lips curled up slightly. Don't forget, Rimuru, if you want to become the Demon King of Awakening, your soul is indispensable. This is a rare and good opportunity. Are you sure you don't want to seize it? That's true. Rimuru scratched his head. Then, I won't be polite about this. Should. Why? Nagato and Suzuki Satoru nodded in unison. Rimuru was the first to join the group and was much older than them. Let a little profit go out in exchange for a favor, and you won't lose money no matter what. Whether it's Suzuki Satoru or Nagato, they still understand the sophistication of human relationships. That's it. Tony clapped his hands and said with a smile. Let's take care of the current Konoha village first, and then Moyu will act alone. Rimuru will lead a team, Suzuki Satoru will lead a team, and Nagato will lead a team, corresponding to the 4 major ninja villages. Get it done in the shortest possible time. If you have any different opinions, please share them. Well, Kanae, who had been silent, said softly, Sakura and I will not participate, after all. That's right, Shing frowned. You and Sakura's safety issues do need to be considered. Yingmei said softly. Why don't you let Nagato take them back to Yu Ninja Village for resettlement first? Not good. Nagato shook his head slightly. Although the Rain Ninja Village is the base camp of the Akatsuki organization, it is not safe. Uchiha Obito and Black Zetsu are always peeping. I'll take it with me. Moyu chuckled and said, you divide into 3 groups to take care of the ninja village. I'll just come and take a look at Kanae and Sakura. Kanae was stunned, and shook her head in a panic. No, this is really too much of a drag on Mr. Moyu. It doesn't matter. Moyu chuckled. Don't be burdened, just enjoy this trip to Otherworld. Then, Kanae pursed her lips, hugged Sakura and bowed slightly. Next, please take care of Mr. Moyu. Moyu nodded immediately. Now that the tasks have been divided and completed, let's get started. Wait, I have another question. As he set off, Rimuru gently raised his hand and said with some hesitation, the reincarnations of Indra and Asura in this generation are Uzumaki Naruto and Uchiha Sasuke, right? Although it may sound a bit hypocritical, but most people frowned. Although we all understand, the task is the task. Everyone has a reason to pursue power, some people they want to protect, and some things they are unwilling to let go of. It is absolutely impossible to give up on a mission. Moyu smiled lightly and said, the reincarnated soul and the newborn soul are not the same thing, just separate them. If you can't figure it out, I'll do it later. Oh, Rimuru nodded immediately, then I'll be fine. Then, everyone, come on. Let me kick it off. Moyu's eyes flickered, and his hands suddenly reached into the space in front of him and gently pulled. 2 figures were pulled directly out of the space by Moyu. It was Uzumaki Naruto who couldn't figure out the situation, and Uchiha Sasuke who looked full of hatred and pain. Before the 2 of them could resist, Moyu pressed his thumbs lightly, and the 2 of them immediately lost consciousness. You guys, be prepared. Although the old man of 6 paths is dead, he still has the means to interfere with reality from the Pure Land. If I move Indra and Asura, he will never be able to sit still. Everyone's eyes were fixed and they were ready. With a slight lift of his hands, a purple shimmer suddenly bloomed, and the 2 souls that were still in chaos were forcefully pulled out of the bodies of Naruto and Sasuke by Moyu. Nagato, Suzuki. The 2 of them raised their hands almost without any hesitation and used their special skills one after another. The way of the world soul devouring. Death is the end of all life strengthening real death. Nagato's standard human soul devouring weapon. Suzuki Satoru, on the other hand, starts with the ultimate buff strengthening skill. Death is the end of all life. The strengthening skill is the real death, granting absolute instant death capable of annihilating everything. The 2 souls have just been separated and are still in chaos. He was already facing death blows from Nagato and Suzuki Satoru. The soul dissipates in an instant. Stop it, old man. A cold shout full of anger suddenly sounded, and violent spatial fluctuations suddenly came. Obviously, the old man Lu Dao really couldn't sit still. Be quiet. Moyu clapped his hands, and the golden magic circle took shape instantly, suppressing all the fluctuations in an instant. After blocking the old man of 6 paths from interfering with reality from the Pure Land. The tip of Moyu's index finger glowed with light, and then he lightly tapped Rimuru's forehead. Don't worry, this is. Rimuru touched his head in confusion. Moyu spread his hands. The old man will leave the ticket to the Pure Land to you. Very good, then I'm going. Yes. Following Rimuru into the Pure Land, he found the old man of 6 paths. The scene suddenly became quiet again. It seems a little too smooth. Suzuki Satoru touched his chin, feeling a little surprised. One of their primary goals, this solved. Isn't it simple if you start with death and end? Moyu complained. I directly used the absolute death buff of the ultimate skill to hit a soul in chaos, and actually used the fill money prop to eliminate the skill reading. As expected of you, you are the real 6. That. Suzuki Satoru was a little embarrassed and scratched his skull face. isn't it because I was afraid of being interfered by other factors and causing the mission to fail, so I used the most reliable and best skill combination. I didn't expect that this soul was unexpectedly fragile. Everyone's eyes twitched after they understood what kind of 4, 7, 3 type of skills Moyu meant by death. With this move, everyone present except Moyu will die if hit. This guy actually used this super perverted skill to hit a soul body that didn't even wake up. It's also absolutely amazing. Ahem. Suzuki Satoru, who felt a little uncomfortable being stared at by everyone, decisively chose to change the topic. Well, everyone, let's continue with the mission. It's a shame to waste time. The topic changed too abruptly. Tony shook his head slightly, but that's right, Nagato will be the main attacker. This time, I'll add Ying and Xing and let's sweep the formation. Ying and Xing looked at each other and acquiesced to Tony's proposal. There was a lot of fun when they arrived, but when it came time to actually get started, the two of them started to hesitate at the same time. Obviously, the level of psychological construction has not been passed yet. No problem. Nagato also noticed it, so he nodded in response immediately. Just leave it to Pain's 6 paths. After the words fell, Nagato raised his head slightly and looked at Pain's 6 paths, which was not even above Konoha. During this period of time, Pain's 6 paths were basically focused on defense, but now he was going to take the initiative. The prelude to the attack officially kicked off. Before launching the attack, Nagato turned his head slightly. Mr. Moyu, to break the seal of Otsutsuki Kaguya requires the use of tailed beasts and outside demons. Is it necessary to extract the 9 tails from Naruto Uzumaki's body? In addition, there seems to be a 1-tailed Jinchuriki in Inaba village. No need. Moyu shook his head slightly. The method to unlock the seal is not fixed, I have my own method. I understand. Hearing this, Nagato nodded slightly. Since he didn't need the tailed beast, he didn't need to worry about anything. It's also time to show the horror of the way of heaven. Pen. In the chaotic venue, Orochimaru, disguised as the cage, looked gloomy and was constantly weighing things in his mind. The moment he saw Pain raise his hands, a strong feeling of heart palpitations emerged crazily. At this moment, Orochimaru gave up all his thoughts and immediately launched the reverse channeling technique. At the same time, over the sleepy leaves. This is my only kindness to you. Seeing many ninjas being stopped by the other 6 paths, Pain's eyes flashed with the Samsara eye. He raised his hands slightly, and extremely terrifying chakra gathered crazily. The technique of the Samsara eye was released instantly. Super Shinra Tenjang. The unparalleled terrifying repulsion centered on Tiandao Pain and spread like a nuclear explosion. The dazzling white light once overshadowed the scorching sun in the sky. Everything seemed to have lost its voice, and only the invisible repulsion was spreading crazily. After this rumble, an extremely violent vibration came. Terrifying vibrations like a magnitude 10 earthquake spread constantly, sending up smoke and dust all over the sky, obscuring all sight. Under the support of the terrifying chakra of the complete body Nagamon, the extremely terrifying repulsive force of Super Shinra Tenjang affects a range of up to 50 kilometers. With just one move, the entire Konoha was completely destroyed, leaving a huge pit with a diameter of 50 kilometers. Total annihilation. The group members watched this scene silently without saying a word. Repulsion. Suzuki Satoru touched his chin and subconsciously began to think about countermeasures. A veritable natural disaster. Tony shook his head slightly, looking deeply at this scene with a complicated expression. Although he often mentioned words such as destroying the country, washing the land, and destroying the star. But I didn't realize it until I actually saw it. Imagination is far less shocking and terrifying than actual viewing. The area in front of us was only 50 kilometers, and it was just a ninja village that was destroyed. Destroy the country, explode the star. How shocking would that kind of scene be? You have to be alert. Distance. The figure lurking in the darkness, also watching this scene, remained silent. Obito, what should we do now? How do I know what to do? What kind of madness has Nagato got? Where did he find these people? Where is your information? Black Zetsu. Quote, how the hell do I know? Heiju's heart was almost crazy. The only thing I know now is that Nagato has completely lost control. Nagato, who had returned to his peak condition, was not something that a dabbler like Daishi could resist. The Samsara Eye was lost just like that. Blanche. It was clear that the hope of victory had come, but what happened to him? Don't be in a hurry, don't be in a hurry. Mortal life is limited. He has been lurking for so many years, so there is no shortage of time. Just continue to be patient. Just wait until Nagato is on the verge of death to dig out his reincarnation eye and choose someone again. Sooner or later, my mother will be rescued. Although Heiju constantly comforted himself in his heart. But the ominous premonition in his heart became stronger and stronger. If his perception is not wrong, Indra and Asura have been completely sent away, and their souls have been annihilated by the guys over there. Not even the rebellious Otsutsuki Hagoromo could stop him. And it seems that someone is eyeing him in the Pure Land. Although he didn't want to believe it, he always felt that Hagoromo's traitor had to be completely prosperous. The only pair of samsara eyes left on Nagato's body. Without the two key elements of Indra and Asura, there will probably be no chance of reincarnation of the samsara eye in the future. There is no room for error in this pair. But apart from waiting, Black had no other option. Nagato can't even deal with it, let alone there are so many guys who don't know the details at all. Asura and Indra were gone, and Hagoromo was also targeted. If his whereabouts were exposed, I might have to send it myself. It was impossible to go, absolutely impossible. If he sends it, who will save the mother? I feel numb. It always feels bad. Although this world is indeed a bit cruel, destroying the old order and establishing a new order will always involve experiencing blood and fire, which is also cruel. It can be defeated, and then. It's too simple to think. The ninja village has developed for so many years and there are so many brainwashing methods. The possibility of peace talks and acceptance of reunification is almost zero. The stance of each ninja village is different, and it is almost impossible for them to reach a reconciliation. Maybe Senju Hashirama's thoughts were similar to everyone's back then, but you have all seen the final result. There should be no need to dwell too much on why the four great ninja wars came about. I think the 5 major countries and the ninja village are the source of all troubles. Some of the truths are catchy, and some are familiar, but many of them actually conflict with each other. If we don't forcefully break the existing framework of the ninja world, the history of the ninja world will be constantly happening. I think there is nothing wrong with letting Nagato and Yahiko become the dark and bright sides of this world. Relying on the former's absolute force to suppress everything, and relying on the latter's ideals to implement benevolent governance, in this situation, world peace, is only slightly possible. If there is no absolute power as the basis, and it only relies on mutual understanding between people, that is nonsense. To measure the world from the perspective of the times we live in is to start from the wrong point. The last point is that we actually don't have many choices. And, most importantly, this is not our world. We have a lot of troubles in our respective worlds, but we don't have much time to worry about the ninja world. Long-term management can only be solved by Nagato and the others. Although I don't want to see this, if Nagato and that Yahiko can lead the world in a better direction, I don't have much objection. The topic ends here. The 3 of them shook their heads in relief. They have a lot of troubles. And their world is also facing a variety of problems that no one can take care of. Listening to the discussion between the 3 people, Moyu borrowed a line from a certain Pluto. What has been will be again, and what has been done will be done again. Do you think this sentence is correct? The 3 of them turned their heads in unison, with thoughtful expressions on their faces. Tony chuckled and said, "This feels good. It almost perfectly reflects the history of human development." What does that sentence mean? The only lesson humans have learned from history is that they have not learned any lessons from history. Is this considered black humor? Yingmei raised her eyebrows. Probably. Xing shrugged. I'm just a kid, I don't understand so many big principles, you just say so. Yingmei couldn't help but glance at Xing, feeling like this guy was mocking her. Because you said she was a tablet, are you still holding a grudge? Okay, that's it. It's useless to think about it anymore. Anyway, you're just here to paddle and gain experience, so don't worry so much. Moyu shook his head lightly and complained. Tony coughed slightly in embarrassment. Ying and Xing just scratched their heads, then quickly turned to look at the surrounding scenery. Even if you don't do, you can still get rewards for your contributions. It was obvious that he was here for free prostitution. I'll leave the affairs of the ninja world to you. I'll go talk to Kaguya. As soon as the words fell, Moyu's mind moved slightly, and Sakura, who was carrying the fragrance, disappeared directly from the place. At the core of lunar space, 3 figures, 2 large and 1 small, suddenly appeared. Is this the inside of the moon? Kanae looked at the surrounding environment with some surprise, and finally locked her eyes on the black sphere in front of her. Mr. Moyu, is that Kaguya sealed here? Well, get ready to go in. Moyu nodded gently. The black sphere in front of him is the technique of the Samsara Eye, Earth Explosion Star. This entire moon was created by Lu Dao's use of Earth to explode the stars. Its purpose is to seal Kaguya. The black ball in front of us can be said to be a gravitational core. Mr. Moyu, Ying and I can just wait here. There was a soft smile on Kanae's face. If we also go in, we will be a drag on Mr. Moyu, and... Don't worry. Moyu raised his right hand slightly, and a golden light shone on his fingertips. 2 protective spells were instantly formed, covering Kanae and Sakura. Well, this is a protective curse. Only beings stronger than me can break it. This. Looking at the looming light on her body, Kanae finally blushed and nodded. Obviously I have nothing. Before entering the seal, Moyu raised his left hand and lightly snapped his fingers. The subtle fluctuations spread. The core of the moon, which had just reacted a little because of the 2 people's intrusion, suddenly became completely quiet. After eliminating external factors, Moyu led the 2 of them into the seal. Within the gravitational core is a completely dark space. There was dead silence, but there is only one place that is emitting a subtle light. It was a figure wearing a white robe. His hair is as long as a waterfall, his beard and hair are all white. His head has long horns, his eyeballs are white with gray, and the scarlet eyeball between his eyebrows is eye-catching. The other party is very quiet. Looking from a distance, it even gives people a sense of peace and tranquility. Perhaps sensing Moyu's arrival, Kaguya reacted for the first time in such a posture for more than 1,000 years. A slight raise. His almost pure white eyes were slightly undulating, and then he tilted his head in confusion. Obviously they are not of Hagoromo and Hamura's blood, but they can come here. I feel a little cute inexplicably. Kanae blinked and commented subconsciously. Perhaps after hearing what Kanae said, Kaguya frowned subconsciously. How dare a mortal dare to judge himself so wantonly? Cute. Kanae realized that she seemed to be a little rude, pursed her lips and said nothing. Kaguya seems unable to move in the seal, but can still speak. With slightly cold eyes, he stared at the bright red lips of the 3 people. Mortals, although I don't know how you got in, I want to lend you your body, and I can promise you a prosperous life. Come to me, mortal. Having been sealed for so long, you haven't even lost your most basic perception, right? Looking at Wie in front of him, Moyu gently raised his hand. The originally lightless space suddenly became as bright as day. As if unable to adapt to the sudden bright light, Kaguya suddenly squinted her eyes. After adapting to the bright environment, the blood vessels around Kaguya's eyes bulged, and her sight turned to the direction of the 3 people again. With just a brief glance, wisps of blood quickly appeared in Kaguya's eyes. The extremely strong stinging sensation made Kaguya subconsciously close her eyes. Tisk, I'm sorry, I forgot to remind you, there are some things that you can't look at randomly. Moyu said with a slight smile on his face without any sincerity. Not to mention the power stone in his right hand, the self-defense measures of the super gene alone are enough for Kaguya to eat a pot. If you want to use your white eyes to pry into his secrets, you have to pay a price. Fortunately, Kaguya didn't directly use the power of Byakugan to spy on the power stone. Otherwise, she might not be able to save her eyes. After a moment of silence, Kaguya opened her eyes again. Thanks to her strong recovery power, all the bloodshot eyes had dissipated. But at this moment, the proud color in his eyes has disappeared. It was replaced by an unprecedented solemnity. You can even see a hint of panic. A member of the family. Kaguya stared at Moyu. No, you don't have the blood of the Otsutsuki clan. Who are you? He is not a member of the family and has never taken the fruit of the sacred tree. Why is the power in a mortal's body so terrifying? We are from outside the world. Moyu shrugged. Forget it, I'll just explain my purpose directly. I need to unlock your seal first, and then suppress you. Can you cooperate a little bit? This is good for you and me. As he talked, you felt that these words were a bit ridiculous. Quote. Unlocking the seal and then suppressing it, but also asking her to actively cooperate. Is this an insult to her? Kaguya was stunned for a moment, a ray of anger emerged from his eyes, and then fell silent. After a moment, Kaguya raised her head slightly, then unlock the seal, if you can suppress me. No matter what the other party's goal is. I didn't bother to care whether this was a humiliation to myself. Once the seal is released, it is still unclear who will have the right to speak. Okay. Moyu shook his head. Negotiations failed. The other party obviously had no intention of cooperating. But this is also an obvious thing. According to Moyu's expectations, there is nothing surprising at all. But the seal still has to be broken. Who knows why the mission has such outrageous requirements? Isn't it torture to break the seal and then suppress it? However, I'm sorry. The genetic engine is running, and the structure of the gravity core is tampered with. The seal that bound Kaguya was broken instantly. There is no need for any sacred tree or infinite moon reading. Breaking the seal is that simple. Heiju expresses that he has something to say. At the same time, the seal that bound Kaguya was broken. Kaguya herself was stunned. It's that simple. The other party didn't even raise her hand, and the seal that had bound her for more than 1,000 years was just gone. But there was no extra time for her to think about these issues now. Heaven's Royal Center. The scene in front of me transformed, and the white of nothingness turned into the blue of ice. Without waiting for the other party to react, Kaguya had already completed the natural integration. The world of ice and snow suddenly rioted, and a terrifying cold air filled the air. 2 huge amounts of glaciers rose from the ground and crashed directly towards where Moyu was. Mountains of huge amounts of glaciers crashed down. Although she was not affected by the cold under the protective spell, this scene still made Kanae look a little pale. Facing Kaguya's offensive, Moyu still made no move, but silently started the elemental engine that had completed an upgrade. The falling glacier paused for a moment, then turned into countless ice crystals and dissipated. Moyu's eyes turned slightly and instantly locked onto Kaguya's location. The next moment, the ice and snow world that was supposed to be controlled by Kaguya backfired on its owner, forcing Kaguya to withdraw from the state of natural integration. The cold ice turned into an ice prison when Kaguya withdrew from the natural integration, imprisoning Kaguya in it. Seeing the ice that spread to her neck, shimmering with a bit of cold light, Kaguya's entire body was covered. The starting space is obviously our home court. But why can the opponent bypass her and control her starting space? Kaguya's face turned pale, and the heavens control was activated again. The ice world dissipates and is replaced by a world of super gravity. Kaguya, who was already prepared to deal with it, squatted down. However, Moyu, Kanae and Sakura, who were protected by the amulet, made no movement. Looking up despite the huge amounts of pressure, Kaguya froze in place again. It was obvious that she was almost unable to get up due to the gravity of the space, but why did the 3 people in front of her act as if nothing had happened? What is happening? A little embarrassed, Kaguya. Moyu laughed rudely. Are you saluting me? Well, I accept it. Kanae beside her couldn't help laughing. After all, Kaguya, who was half squatting and half kneeling, was facing Moyu. From this side, it does look a bit like a salute to Moyu. Veins popped up on Kaguya's forehead, obviously she was angry. The heavens control was activated again, and the hypergravity space turned into a desert. Kaguya stood up and raised her right hand with a cold face, the chakra in her body reaching its maximum level. Since space and natural means can't do anything to the opponent, then use other means to launch an attack. Yasogami air attack, activated paid for. Chakra materialized, and countless fists smashed towards Moyu. It's useless. Moyu raised his hand and swiped, and the space in front of him became slightly rippled. The speeding fist disappeared after sinking into the space. Before Kaguya could recover, the materialized chakra fist extended from behind and hit her directly on the lower back. Boom! There was an explosion, and Kaguya was knocked away by the punch, falling heavily into the desert and being buried in the yellow sand. True to its name, fight yourself. And he beat me very hard. Moyu could even hear a crisp bone sound. This woman seems a little pitiful, being completely manipulated by Mr. Moyu, and applauded. Looking at all this, Kanae even had this idea in her mind. Kanae, who felt ridiculous, quickly shook her head. He quickly shook this thought out of his mind. Kaguya, with some blood stains on the corner of her mouth, shuttled out of the space. His eyes were fixed on Moyu. The excess emotion in his eyes has completely dissipated, leaving only solemnity. After just 3 confrontations, she understood that the enemy in front of her could not be judged by ordinary methods. It must be treated with caution. The white eye will be counterattacked if used, and the natural integration will also be counterattacked. The starting space can even be taken over by the opponent. The opponent also has the ability of time and space, so long-range physical attacks are almost ineffective. However, it is still necessary to continue to explore. Only by understanding the upper limit of the opponent's ability can we make an effective counterattack. With a thought in Kaguya's mind, the waterfall-like long hair behind her moved automatically without any wind. The next moment, densely packed short needles poured out like a torrential rain. Facing this blow, Moyu still just raised his hand and swiped calmly, and the rippled space swallowed up all the attacks. Kaguya, who had already prepared a response strategy, immediately used Wonkwan Hirasaka. The dark space opened a crack to protect itself. However, the expected attack did not come. Kaguya frowned and suddenly raised his hand to explore the space. The moment the arm passed through the space rift, it was directly bounced out. The spatial rift in front of him was also forcibly closed. Kaguya subconsciously used Wonkwan Hirasaka again, but the space next to her did not react at all. It's as if it's blocked. Very good, the other party also has the ability to block space. Now even Wonkwan Hirasaka can no longer be used, and he can't even continue to change spaces. Kaguya wanted to curse, but she seemed to have forgotten how to curse. The various abilities that one relies on are either limited, unusable, or will backfire. How else to fight? So perverted. Are you sure this guy is not a senior member of the clan? Angrily, Kaguya raised her hand again, and 2 gray bone spears extended from her palm, and then burst out. Kill the ashes together. But history repeats itself. 2 ashes disappeared in front of Moyana. It can't attack Moyu's body at all, let alone break its defense. That's it, Kaguya. Looking at Kaguya with a somewhat numb expression, Moyu spoke softly. Well, as an experimental material, you are quite good. I am quite interested in the bloodline of the Otsutsuki clan. Maybe I can make it one of the cornerstones of my growth, so I can give you another choice. Another option. Kaguya looked at Moyu in front of her with indifferent eyes. It's up to you to seal or not seal. Do I still have a choice, AECF? It doesn't matter what fate awaits me. You mortals have a limited lifespan, I can slowly kill you. Really? Moyu tilted his head. Then I'm really sorry. It seems impossible to survive me to death. My lifespan may be much longer than yours. Besides, you don't think that I can only seal you and there's nothing you can do with your regenerative healing factor, right? Kaguya hummed softly and slowly closed his eyes. If there is a way, just try it. I can't fight but I can't run but I can't escape. Other than accepting her fate and being sealed, what else can she do? After all, most of the power has been dispersed and has not been brought back. Even the annihilation-seeking jade cannot be used, so it is normal that it cannot be defeated. As for whether the other party can threaten her life, Kaguya dismissed it. She is very confident in her regenerative healing factor. Seeing that Kaguya looked like a dead pig who was not afraid of boiling water, Moyu just shook his head. Why can't people nowadays shed tears when they see the coffin? I just don't listen to my good advice. Okay, I'll satisfy you. Moyu suddenly raised his hand and lightly grasped it with his fingers. The gene engine is running again, and the high-level concept rewriter is activated. Concept blow, get ready. Target locked. Kaguya Otsutsuki, the high-level concept rewriter is starting to analyze the power mark. Feeling the strange power acting on herself, Kaguya, who had been calm before, suddenly opened her eyes, and the expression on her face began to become a little ferocious. This is impossible. The target is resisting with physical power and elemental power, and the space-time engine is activated, creating a time-space cage. The target's resistance has been suppressed, and the elemental engine is activated. Energy assimilation is completed. The target's power has been sealed. Target: Kaguya Otsutsuki, analysis completed. Do you want to rewrite the target? All Kaguya's resistance was in vain. She has been completely locked and is already a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. Stop. You can't do this. Being imprisoned in the cage of time and space, all of Kaguya's power was sealed, and her eyes were full of panic. Somehow, her regenerative healing factor seemed to have lost its original effect. If this continues, she will really die. When death really came, Kaguya finally panicked. If she wasn't afraid of death, she wouldn't have made a sneak attack when she was about to be sacrificed to the sacred tree, let alone eat the fruit of the sacred tree. They will not be afraid of the arrival of people from the clan, and will continue to have people worship the sacred tree to create an army of Baiju. She is afraid of death. Even if it has been sealed for 1,000 years, it is still the same. Don't worry, I won't kill you yet. Moyu had a kind smile on his face and gently closed his fingers. Ignoring Kaguya's fear and panic, the concept was rewritten and executed. The target is being rewritten. The rewriting is completed. The space-time cage shrank and turned into a diamond-shaped crystal that fell into Moyu's palm. Done, my mission here is complete. Looking at the crystal with Kaguya sealed in his hand, Moyu nodded with satisfaction. Although the mission reward is a pair of reincarnation eyes from Otsutsuki Shibaju, Moyu is also interested in the bloodline of the Otsutsuki clan. These guys rely on their bloodline to constantly devour the fruit, and they are actually able to transcend the limitations of their native world. I have to say, it's a bit interesting. Maybe you can use this bloodline to help yourself make further progress. Even if the possibility is small, it is possible after all. Mr. Moyu, are we going back to the ninja world now? Seeing that Moyu had finished suppressing Kaguya, Jiyu Dechuin asked softly. I'll ask them how they're progressing first. Moyu was not in a hurry to go back, but just put his consciousness into the group. Kamigawa warrior Moyu. Everyone, how is the progress of the mission? Immortal King Suzuki Satoru. It seems that Moyu Senpai has already taken care of it. Nagato and I are also making good progress. The goal has been roughly accomplished. Only Rimuru Senpai is still there. It seems that the two of them basically took care of the 5 major ninja villages. Not bad, the combination of Suzuki Satoru and Nagato is quite powerful. Kamigawa warrior Moyu. At Slime Rimuru, what's going on over there? Even a dead old man can't handle it. Slime Rimuru. This guy resists very hard, but it's quick. It will be done soon. Just wait for me. Kamigawa warrior Moyu. Okay, you are busy. Kanae, I plan to give you and Lu a meeting gift. Seeing that there was still a short period of time before the mission was completed, Moyu looked at the inside of the moon in front of him, turned to Kanae and whispered softly. You and Sakura probably won't get much benefit from this mission. I'm going to find something ready-made for you. Kanae was stunned, blushed and shook her head quickly. This is too troublesome for Mr. Moyu, and I also deserve it. Obviously I can get a little reward without doing anything. Don't wait for Kanae to finish. Moyu raised his hand and swiped, and in an instant, a huge amount of device appeared in front of the two people. There is a golden light group bound within it, and there is a snowflake-like pattern inside. It is the giant reincarnation eye made by the Moon Hamura clan and all the clans Byakugan. Looking at the huge Tenseigan in front of him, Yu smiled and said. This thing is of no use to me, but it's a pity to leave it here. It's just put to its best use. This power is pretty good. It can give you and Sakura some ability to protect yourself. With this power, you can better protect the people you care about, and you can also use this power to kill evil spirits. Are you really planning to reject my feelings? Kanae opened and closed her lips, obviously wanting to refuse, but she couldn't say it at all. After being silent for a long time, Kanae said quietly. Mr. Moyu is really cunning. The 2 points mentioned by the other party completely hit her Achilles heel, so how could she refuse? That's right, Moyu shrugged. The gene engine started running again, the concept rewriting started, the spell on the huge reincarnation eye was broken, and the reincarnation eye composed of the Byakugan of the entire Hamura clan was constantly refined under the power of concept rewriting. Concentrate. Nearly tens of thousands of white eyes eventually turned into 2 pairs of reincarnated eyes emitting blue light. Another extreme form of Byakugan, which is not inferior to the Samsara eye. Feels good. Looking at the 2 pairs of reincarnated eyes in front of him, Moyu nodded with satisfaction. The genetic template of the reincarnated eye is obtained. In addition, the mission will give you a pair of reincarnation eyes from Otsutsuki Shibaju, and the blood of the Otsutsuki clan in Kaguya who was suppressed by him. As long as he is given some time to analyze it carefully, he can completely reproduce the Otsutsuki clan. Mr. Moyu, could he be planning to? Looking at the 2 pairs of eyeballs in front of him, he felt a bad premonition in his heart. Could it be that they were going to dig out her and Sakura's eyes and then put the eyeballs in front of them? Maybe she could bear this level of pain, but Sakura in her arms was still a child. Thinking of this, Kanae looked down at Sakura in her arms with some distress. And just this glance made Kanae raise her eyebrows. He couldn't help but raise his hand and gently pat Sakura's buttocks in his arms. How long are you going to pretend to be asleep, Sakura-chan? The previous battle scenes were too terrifying for her, and her attention was completely diverted from Sakura in her arms. In the end, I didn't even realize that this guy had woken up early and had been pretending to sleep. But it's not incomprehensible. He was obviously sleeping, but when he woke up he found himself in the arms of a stranger. Moreover, the surrounding environment is so unfamiliar that subconscious vigilance and fear are inevitable. Oh, Sakura, has she finally woken up? Moyu turned his head with a smile on his face, a hint of teasing flashing in his eyes. Realizing that she could no longer hide herself, Sakura raised her head slightly and struggled to jump out of Kanae's arms with a somewhat panicked expression. As soon as he landed, he bowed deeply to the 2 of them. I'm sorry, Sister Kanae, Brother Moyu, Xiaoying. I didn't mean to pretend to be asleep, I'm sorry. After the words fell, Sakura raised her head slightly and looked at the 2 people cautiously. That pitiful look really made Kanae's maternal nature shine. It's okay. Raising her hand to rub the little head in front of her eyes, Kanae said softly. Don't be afraid, my sister and brother both like Xiaoying, right, Mr. Moyu? Moyu smiled and nodded, gently raised his hand, revealing the reincarnated eye in his palm that no longer looked like an eyeball, but looked like a fine work of art. Here, this is a meeting gift from my brother. Do you like it? So beautiful. Sakura's eyes lit up, but after hesitation for a moment, she still shook her head slightly. This is too precious, Sakura can't accept it. This is not precious. Moyu smiled and shook his head. Besides, it is also very rude to refuse a gift. Sakura was stunned. It would be rude not to refuse, and it would be rude to refuse. Some don't know what to do. Mr. Moyu. Kanae looked at the pair of reincarnated eyes with some hesitation. Don't worry, it's not as troublesome as you think. Moyu shook his head gently. I have many methods, and there won't be any side effects. Inheriting the power of the reincarnated eye does not necessarily mean changing eyes. There won't be any pain. It would be too rough to dig out the original eyes and then put the reincarnation eyes on them. Not elegant at all. I was the one who was abrupt. Kanae said apologetically, and then looked at Sakura. It's a gift from my brother. Sakura can capture it. Then, thank you, Brother Moyu. Sakura felt a little hesitation, but finally nodded. Here, Moyu blinked. Here, close your eyes and let me do a magic trick for you. Sakura closed her eyes obediently and waited silently. Looking at this scene, Moyu raised his hand slightly. The Tenseigin in his hand turned into a gentle light, gradually blending into Sakura's closed eyes. Everything was so silent. After doing all this, Moyu took out a mirror and placed it in front of Sakura. Okay, the magic is done, you can open your eyes now. Okay. Sakura nodded slightly and opened her eyes with a little excitement. After seeing himself in the mirror, he was slightly stunned. Her eyes were already in the form of the reincarnated eye, but before Sakura could think about it, the blue light in her eyes gradually dissipated, and her eyes returned to their original appearance. Disappeared. Subconsciously, he raised his hand and touched it, and a little mist appeared in his eyes. It's not disappearing. Looking at this scene, Moyu put away the mirror, stooped down and touched the little head. Sakura's current strength is not enough to support its appearance. As long as she grows up well, she will be able to control it well in the future. Really, definitely, Sakura will work hard. Mouth. After such a small episode, Sakura also let down her guard, and the pure and beautiful smile she should have at this age appeared on her face again. Thank you, brother Moyu. Xiaoying likes it very much. Nice. You love it. Moyu smiled and nodded, then turned to look at Shayna Wei. Then, it's your turn now, Grace. I guess Rimuru will be there soon. Once the mission is completed, we will probably be teleported back immediately, so we have to hurry up. Okay. Kanae, who decided to give this gift, no longer hesitated and just nodded with a blushing face. Anyway, it seems that the debt owed can no longer be repaid. The same steps are repeated again, but with some slight adjustments. After all, everyone's genetic data is different, so following the script will cause problems. Sakura, who didn't close her eyes this time, watched the process of the magic exactly as it was, with a hint of anticipation in her eyes. When Kanae opened her eyes again, the familiar colors appeared again. This is so powerful. Feeling the power contained in these reincarnated eyes, even though she was mentally prepared, Kanae was still not shocked. Sister Kanae's eyes have become so beautiful, but they also disappeared so quickly. Sakura's face was filled with sincere praise, but there was a hint of regret in her tone. Thank you for the compliment, Sakura is very cute too. Kanae chuckled. Kanae, Moyu said softly, there are some things to keep in mind. This power cannot be used easily. You don't have extraordinary power in your body yet, so using the Tensegan will consume your energy. Once the energy is lost too much and you still have to use it forcefully, it will be a loss of vitality. When encountering a battle that requires the use of the Sanjigen, remember to resolve it quickly. But don't worry too much. I think this situation will pass soon. Moyu didn't think this situation would last long. Even if there are no more missions in the group for a short time, Kanae cannot obtain the power of the extraordinary system in a short time. But he also has a lot of ideas. As long as the bloodline analysis of the Otsutsuki clan is successful, he will be able to mass-produce it without any scruples. At that time, everyone in the group will give a copy, and all problems will naturally be solved. As for the chakra system in the ninja world, that thing is not advisable. Without the bloodline of the Otsutsuki clan as support, the chakra system would simply be exchanging lives for strength. The gain outweighs the loss. As for the breathing method, the superficial breathing method is not considered extraordinary power, it can only enhance the physical quality of the practitioner. Only by reaching the level of Jiguiwan can one be called extraordinary. With Kanae's current situation, being able to activate the reincarnated eye for half a minute is already the limit. I'll keep it in mind. Kanae nodded solemnly. Keep Moyu's instructions in mind. Ding, Mission 3, Conquest has been completed. The rewards have been generated and can be collected by yourself. The group members will be teleported back to the original world in 30 seconds. Please be prepared. Oh, it seems Rimuru has done it too. Listening to the reminder sound in his mind, Moyu turned around and looked at Sakura. You will be back to your original world in 30 seconds. Sakura, if you have any problems, please remember to ask for help from everyone in the group in time. Also, you take this. Having said this, Moyu gently raised his hand and snapped his fingers, and a jade plaque slowly formed in front of their eyes. This is an ultra-small dark computer. After you return, it will automatically run, enter the dark plane and hide itself. After reading the corresponding dark data, it will actively contact the famous Finnish magician Edfelt family. I think that if it were the Edfelt family's request, Tokiomi would most likely not refuse. This is one of the escape routes I prepared for Sakura. Taking the jade token, handed over by Moyu, Xiaoying pursed her lips and said sadly. Brother Moyu, father, must he send me out? Hearing this, Moyu said softly, your father is an out-and-out magician, and pursuing the route has always been the long-cherished wish of the Tasaka family, so he will definitely participate in the Holy Grail War. He is not without feelings when he sends you out. The starting point is also to protect you from the Holy Grail War. In addition, even if you don't consider the danger of the Holy Grail War, there is only one person who can inherit the magic mark of the Tasaka family. Whether it is you or your sister, one person will always be missed. But your sister's ability is more suitable for receiving the magic mark, so Tokiomi chose your sister to inherit the magic mark. If you don't have the mark of magic, once you don't have the blessing of a famous magic family, your ability and physique. The final result is probably to be sealed and designated, or even soaked in formalin. Well, it's worse than death. This is what happens to people who have no backstage but outstanding abilities and rare physiques and face the clock tower. I have to say, it's a bit disgusting. There are very few normal people in the group of magicians in the Star Moon world. It can even be said that most of them are not human and do not have secular moral values. It is impossible to reason with them, and there is no need to reason with them. Didn't my father not want me, to protect me? Although I didn't understand what the latter words meant, I understood the first half after listening. Tokiomi didn't want her anymore, but to protect her. This is enough. I understand, Brother Moyu. Sakura clenched the jade token in her hand tightly, and a smile appeared on her face again. As long as you know. Moyu smiled and rubbed the little head. Kanae's eyes lit up as she watched this scene. Mr. Moyu is unexpectedly gentle. Moyu's mouth twitched. The word gentle doesn't suit him. But I'm too lazy to defend myself. The more I explain, the more trouble I get. He is extremely friendly to those around him, but has nothing but boundless ruthlessness towards his enemies. To say he is gentle, is correct in a sense. As long as they are not enemies. 30 seconds is not long. The moment the countdown ended, the three figures disappeared into the lunar space. As soon as he landed, the messages in the group started ringing one after another. Slime Rimuru. Everyone, I'm afraid I won't be able to chat with you for a long time. Traveler Ying. What happened? Pioneer Star. Could it be that just in this short period of time, your home was robbed? Iron Man Tony. You can't be so unlucky, right? Kamigawa Warrior Moyu. If my guess is correct, Rimuru should be awakening. Slime Rimuru. Correct answer. I'm sorry, everyone, I started to feel sleepy after receiving the reward. I can't hold it any longer. I'll take a nap first and wait until I wake up. Before he finished speaking, Rimuru stopped moving. It has obviously fallen into a deep sleep and started awakening. Iron Man Tony. Take off again. Rimuru, you were already very powerful before you became the Demon King of Awakening. After awakening, your overall strength will definitely soar a lot, right? Traveler Ying. A big cut. At least a tenfold increase in strength. Pioneer Star. It is still a bit conservative, definitely more than 10 times. Considering that Rimuru has obtained several new special skills, as well as the power of an ancient dragon with a purity of 65, plus the reincarnation eye this time, after evolving from a Demon King species to a Demon King, you will probably have several more ultimate skills, right? Kamigawa Warrior Moyu. This possibility is very high. After all, Rimuru's growth potential is simply abnormal. Iron Man Tony. Tisk, don't worry, Rimuru was the second strongest person in the group before, but now, it seems like you can't keep your number one position. Pioneer Star. The gold coins are about to be exploded. Looking forward to it. JPG. Kamigawa Warrior Moyu. I don't have any problem. Rather, the stronger the members in the group are, the happier I am. Pioneer Star. It sounds very open-minded, but why do I get the feeling that you are not afraid that someone will be better than you? Traveler Ying. I feel the same. Although Rimuru has also acquired new skills, and new ultimate skills may appear after awakening, the rewards Moyu obtained in 2 consecutive missions are basically 100%. You guys, do you think he has not made progress? Iron Man Tony. That's true. To say that the ones with the biggest increase in strength are probably Moyu and Rimuru, right? It's just that Rimuru's increase in strength is obvious, but Moyu has never been. No information in this regard has been disclosed, it is hidden very deep. Immortal King Suzuki Satoru. Indeed, I can't see through Senior Moyu at all anyway. It's like a deep pool with no bottom I can see. Akatsuki Nagato. I feel the same way. Tasaka Sakura. Brother Moyu is the strongest. Style Butterfly Kanae. I agree with Sakura's statement. Iron Man Tony. That's awesome, Moyu, you conquered a big thumb in just a short time. JPG. Kamigawa Warrior Moyu. Come on, Tony. In addition, everyone should receive the mission rewards, and then get familiar with this power. There is no need for Kanae and Sakura to wait for me for a while. Tasaka Sakura. Yeah, Sakura will be waiting. Style Butterfly Kanae. Yeah. Pioneer Star. Let's take a look. Sure enough, the contribution rate is only a pitiful 5%. Sure enough, you can't get high rewards for paddling. It should just be a participation award. Traveler Ying. I am also a pitiful 5%. Iron Man Tony. I'm not at the bottom this time, but the reward isn't the Rinnegan, so why am I the Sharingan of 3 Magatama? Hoshi, and Ying, how about you? Traveler Ying. The same 3 Magatama. Pioneer Star. Same as above. Immortal King Suzuki Satoru. Maybe it's not pure enough, so I dropped the level. My purity is 40%, and it looks similar to Nagato's before, but I always feel a little weird somewhere, even though I'm obviously covered in it. It's a bone, but there's an extra pair of eyes in the eye sockets, it's a bit scary. Akatsuki Nagato. My mission reward is 60%. In addition, after receiving the reward, the 2 pairs of samsara eyes seem to have completed the integration, and I can now confirm that this is completely mine. The eyes have been replaced, and 4 powerful pupil techniques have been added to the original ones. Kamigawa Warrior Moyu. It is a good thing to gain something. In addition, Nagato, if you have time, collect various techniques in the ninja world. I am currently studying the bloodline of the Otsutsuki clan. I will make batches after I succeed. This way, once this happens, everyone in the group will have the first complete common system. After Moyu said these words, everyone was stunned except for Kanae and Sakura, who had already known about it. Iron Man Tony. Wait, it suddenly feels a bit scary. Moyu, the mass production you are talking about, is that what I think? Kamigawa Warrior Moyu. Well, for the batch development of genetic sequence weapons, if you want it, just come to me and get a copy. Iron Man Tony. Pioneer Star. It's simply abnormal. We are still figuring out how to use the Sharingan, but Moyu has been able to criticize and create Otsutsuki. Akatsuki Nagato. It's a bit unimaginable. Immortal King Suzuki Satoru. Such a powerful bloodline has now become an assembly line product. Traveler Ying. I always feel that if the last mission had lasted longer, maybe he could have reproduced Mephisto in batches. Warrior Kamigawa Moyu. They say I need some time. In addition, Mephisto's recreation involves a variety of powers, and I can't do it yet. Iron Man Tony. I just can't do it now. I understand this sentence, do you understand it? Hear the applause. The Immortal King Suzuki Satoru. Applause.jpg. Traveler Ying. Applause.jpg. Trailblazer Star. Applause.jpg. Akatsuki Nagato. Applause.jpg. Kamigawa Warrior Moyu. Forget it, I'm too lazy to explain, you guys can just chat, I'll go do some research. Quote. Looking at the group of people making noises, Moyu shook his head helplessly. You have to find a way to give Tony some strength. Look at him being free every day. Retrieve status. Searching. Retrieval completed. Name. Moyu. Biological age. 20. Biological gender. Male. Current gene version. Fighting Buddha and Kamigawa Beast Body. New. Ancient Dragon Gene Sequence. New. Otsutsuki Gene Sequence. Kamigawa Beast Body. Completely immune to ordinary thermal weapon attacks. Ignores nuclear weapons strikes. Immune to advanced concept rewrites. Resistant to large solar flare bombings. Unable to resist supernova explosions. Invulnerable to god-killing weapons that are not specialized in decomposing super genes. The Ancient Dragon Gene Sequence. Being analyzed. Otsutsuki Gene Sequence. Analysis in progress. Equipped with the Dark Plane Combat Engine. Duplication, Immobilization, Energy Burst, Fiery Eyes, 3 heads and 6 arms, Law of Heaven and Earth, Star Movement, etc. New Dark Plane Combat Engines. Element Engine plus 1.0 version. Time and Space Engine. Current progress, 82%. New High-Level Concept Rewriter. Current progress, 95%. Current equipment. Dark Alloy Rod, Dark Alloy Armor, Somersault Cloud. New equipment. Infinite Rough Stone Power, Analysis Progress, 20%. New Timing Item. Progress Bar. Current progress, 65%. It seems that my guess is unnecessary. The Samsara Eye comes with the blood of the Otsutsuki clan. Feel some changes in yourself after receiving the rewards. Worry's mind sank slightly, and his consciousness had entered the dark plane of self. Obtain the complete power of the ancient water dragon in Teyvat, and bring a complete ancient dragon gene with you. In this mission, he got a complete reincarnation eye belonging to Otsutsuki Shibaju, and also brought a complete Otsutsuki bloodline. In this case, Kaguya brought her back for nothing. It was out of caution that after suppressing Kaguya, he was not placed in the ninja world, but was directly sealed in the time and space cage by him and brought back. Originally, I wanted to use Kaguya's Otsutsuki bloodline as a sample for research. But now it seems that it is no longer needed. After all, the ancient dragon controls the original womb sea of Teyvat, so it is not surprising that it has its own genetic sequence. But the reincarnation eye is different, although it is also a certain embodiment of bloodline ability. But even if you find a random ninja, dig out his original eyes, and then insert the samsara eye into it, he can still use the power of the samsara eye. But the price is his own life force. There is precedent, so there should be no reservations about whether the samsara eye has its own genetic sequence. That's why I thought of bringing Kaguya back just in case. It turns out he was overthinking. Produced by a group, it must be a high-quality product. Well, definitely, the task contribution is high. Otherwise, like Tony and the others, they will directly degenerate from the Rinnegan to the Sharingan. Currently, both the Ancient Dragon gene sequence and the Otsutsuki gene sequence are being analyzed. Once the analysis is completed, it can be matched with its own super gene sequence and learn from each other's strengths. Maybe by then his genetic sequence will undergo an upgrade and become the plus 1.0 version. Besides, the progress of the time and space engine has reached 82%. Maybe there is no need to wait for the Ancient One Magician to lend him the time gem. If I could travel back and forth 2 more times, my progress would probably be full. In addition, the progress of the high-level concept rewriter is approaching the critical point, with only 5% left to complete. What I have to say is that concept rewriting is really easy to use. Dealing with beings that have no special resistance or equivalent means is almost a dimensionality reduction strike. The progress of the Power Stone has also increased by 5%, which may seem like a small amount, but the benefit is the greatest. What you need to know is that the Power Stone is a collection of rules and is extremely complex. If the progress of the Power Stone can be analyzed to 100%, then if you get other infinite stones in the future, the analysis will directly start at 50% of the progress. The Goldfinger progress bar has also passed 2/3, and in a little more than a month, he will get a new reward. After all, the rewards I got the first 2 times were all good things. How could Moyu not look forward to it? After sorting out his own condition in the dark plane, Mowu withdrew. I plan to explore the reincarnation eye. Otsutsuki's genetic sequence is being analyzed, but this does not prevent him from testing the reincarnation eye. There are many kinds of samsara eyes, including 4 forms: red, yellow, blue, and purple, among which there are also Magatama or Magatama. Ability is also diverse and strange. The pair of samsara eyes rewarded by the mission come from Otsutsuki Shibaju. It is said that this guy is the closest thing to the god of Otsutsuki. Since the source is this guy, maybe there is a strange ability that Moyu doesn't know about. It must be carefully sorted out and experimented. If you cannot use your ability well, you will be extremely unqualified as a warrior. As his thoughts turned, a special sense emerged from his eyes. Moyu subconsciously raised his head, and his current appearance was gradually reflected on the floor-to-ceiling windows in front of him. His eyes did not turn into circles like the samsara eyes, nor did a third eye grow on his forehead. But ability is undoubtedly activated. The only change was, his pupils seemed to be flashing with golden light. Is it a special reaction produced by the combination of the reincarnation eye and the fiery eye? Seriously comprehending the situation at this moment, Moyu subconsciously raised his hand and made 10 o'clock. Subtle fluctuations permeate the air, the breeze blows against the current, the wandering clouds turn upside down, and the whole world is moving backwards in a strange posture. In just a moment, Moyu understood what had happened and decisively stopped the operation of ability, and everything returned to normal again. Back in time, Moyu, who noticed this special change, narrowed his eyes. No, it's not a retrospect, but a complete countercurrent flow. With the ability of the reincarnation eye, time flowed backward for nearly 60 minutes. This was the result of his subconscious effort without exerting any force at all. It's just such a short moment. Whether it is reversing time or looking back, it changes the pace of time from forward to backward, just like making a person face forward but walk backwards. The effect of the ability he just activated was completely different. He made time completely turn around. The concept of time is still in a state of advance, but in the opposite direction. These are two completely different concepts. The former is to go back to the past, but the past cannot be changed, and time will eventually get back on track. The latter completely changes the direction of time, turning the future into the past and the past into the future. If he did something else during the reverse flow of time, when time gets back on track, what he did will be imprinted in time and become part of the past. It's somewhat abstract. This ability is somewhat perverted. Quote, Moyu raised his hand and touched his chin, calming down his somewhat ups and downs. Confused, I don't know where the upper limit is and how long I can last. If you just let time flow backwards without interfering, it doesn't seem to consume much. The time just now was enough to go against the current for an hour, and it was not a waste. But what would happen if I intervened and changed something? Although he was a little eager to give it a try, after thinking about it, Moyu gave up on this seemingly suicidal move. After all, he now has no idea what will happen if he actively interferes with time. If you accidentally destroy the world, it will be great fun. The universe in the Marvel worldview is as fragile as a piece of paper, and ability can easily break it if it is slightly stronger. It's better not to mess around for now. Just as Moyu planned to continue testing the other abilities of the Samsara Eye. The phone left in the living room rang suddenly. Mr. Moyu, the phone is ringing, do you want to answer it? Wanda, who was sitting on the sofa in the living room reading a book, raised her head slightly and asked softly. I see. Moyu raised his hand and tapped his ear curtain, and directly connected the phone to his communication channel. If you need to call me if you need anything, why don't you just tell me in the group? The group can't tell clearly. Tony's tone was extremely solemn. Don't worry, I just discovered a very scary thing. The time in our world seems to have gone back for a whole hour. A whole hour. No one may notice it except you and me. Do you know what it is? Situation. Moyu blinked awkwardly. Ahem, well, I'm sorry, Tony. I did this subconsciously. Well, it wasn't intentional. It was a small accident that happened when I was testing the ability of the reincarnation eye. It's okay. Don't worry. No major disaster happened. Tony is protected by a group of protective mechanisms. In this world, the law of cause and effect from time is also immune to him. His ability didn't affect Tony, which was as expected by Moyu. I just didn't expect this guy to find out so quickly. But that's right, after all, JARVIS is here, and it will be clear if you compare them with their respective information. It wasn't hard for Tony to come to the conclusion that time had gone backwards. Tony on the other end raised his hand to hold forehead, with a look of helplessness on his face, but he was relieved in his heart. Did you do the co-writing? You made me worry for a long time. What do you want me to say about you? I thought something super scary happened. Wait a minute. At this point, Tony seemed to react. Did he seem to have overlooked a more terrifying fact? Looking up at the scenery outside the window, Tony twitched the corner of his mouth slightly and said tentatively. If I heard correctly, you just said. Did you do this? You set back the world's time by a full hour. Tell me if I heard wrong, okay. Tony. Moyu shrugged helplessly. I think you heard it right. Hell. Tony took a breath of cold air. Is the Rinnegan so terrifying? It can actually turn back time. Nagato and Suzuki Satoru also have the Rinnegan. Although the purity may not be as good as yours, are you too perverted? Indeed, Moyu said. I'm also a little surprised. Generally speaking, it's not possible, but the situation here may be a bit special. Looking at all the Samsara Eye abilities, although they are not without time, they are indeed not as perverted as his pair. Maybe his situation is a little bit special. His attainments in time and space are not shallow, and the Samsara Eye he obtained this time is not weak either. So the combination of the two gave birth to this slightly abnormal ability. It can be said to be an unexpected surprise. Okay, I finally understand. Tony shook his head and suppressed all unnecessary thoughts. As long as nothing happens, I'll be relieved. Anyway, the stronger you are, the better. By the way, there's one more thing. Apart from the innocuous incident with Hulk before, nothing special seems to have happened. Moyu, tell me the truth, are you holding back something like this? Big event. Hold a big one. Does Loki's invasion with Chidori count? It doesn't seem to count. Even leaving him, Wanda, and Pietro completely aside. Today, Tony can handle this matter alone if he is fully prepared. The premise is to be prepared and not to be attacked by surprise. What can be considered really troublesome is probably the invasion of the Dark Elves, Dark Dimension Dormammu, and the birth of the final members of the Celestial Group, right? As for Thanos' plan to massacre half of the universe, it was declared bankrupt long before the Power Stone fell into his hands. Even Thanos, who is holding the other 5 original stones, can't get any benefits from him. Not to mention taking away the Power Stone from him. It would be quite troublesome if we exclude him. Just when Moyu was about to say something, the dark data scan that had already covered the Earth discovered the occurrence of a special event. A Bifrost quickly arrives at Earth. And a hammer and a man flew out of it. Moyu subconsciously looked at the time and frowned slightly. Earlier, but that's fine. After all, my own plans cannot keep up with the changes. The plan half a year ago can no longer be used. After 2 missions, his strength increased far beyond his original expectations. Getting the Tesseract and Psychic Scepter early will help him grow faster. Under this premise, it is naturally better to send money to a boy. Thinking of this, Moyu's mouth curled up slightly. It was time to give Tony some strength. Although it's unclear whether the story will still run as planned, it would be good to let Tony take a trip. After all, the destroyer armor made of Uru alloy is indeed of good quality. Rather than letting this thing fall into the hands of S.H.I.E.L.D., it would be better for Tony to take over entirely. Tony, if you want to join in the fun, you can go to Mexico. Something interesting is going to happen there. If you do it well, the intensity of the Mark series battles can go up several levels. Mexico. Something's going to happen in the Enchanted Wonderland. Tony on the other end was stunned for a moment, then raised his head. JARVIS, work has started. Help me collect all the recent intelligence on Mexico. I want to use it. Okay, sir. Asterisk. After giving the order to JARVIS, Tony spoke again. Although I don't know what will happen, don't you plan to participate this time? Just go. Moyu shook his head slightly. I'll forget it. I'll go over and bully people, and it may cause unnecessary conflicts. Old man Odin is training his son, so there is no need for him to have a hand in it. If there is an unnecessary misunderstanding, there may be a fight with the elderly Odin. The old man was already dying, and another fight would only make him die faster. If the other party is really bad, he will probably take the blame for some reason. I don't care about other problems. If it delays the boy who brings money to your door, it will be more than worth the gain. If you search all over the universe, how can you have the convenience of the other party bringing it to your door? You really don't want to go. Seeing that Moyu had no intention of going, Tony touched his chin. That's okay, it doesn't seem to be a big event. Okay, I'll take the time to go over and take a look. Can it increase the intensity of the Mark series armor to several levels? With such a good thing, how could he not go? I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.